Hey guys, it's Jason. Welcome back to Martial Arts Theater 3000. This is the Game of Clones. It's called Enter the Game of Clones. We're going to be covering the box set today. And I have some of my great friends with me here. I'm going to do an introduction. We got Caleb from Caleb's Kung Fu Cinema.
How's it going?
Of course, Leon from Hong Kong and Beyond.
Hi, everyone.
Johnny, the Fanatical Dragon.
Afternoon, all.
And Sean from Food for Thought.
What's up, everyone?
Cool. And we're going to, be covering the Game of Clones. We've been working on this. We had it at 5 weeks. We added an extra week because there's so much content on all of this. And before we begin, we have a special guest. I'm really excited. He's going to have a few words here.
Enter the Game of Clones. It's a pretty good title. I want to thank you guys for taking the time to go through this box set, spend a couple hours doing it. This set and all the things it sets out to accomplish have been years and years in the making, and in some cases for me, a lifetime in the making. This is these what we now refer to as Bruceploitation movies, but when I was a kid, it was the Bruce Lee ripoff movies, were how they were the prism in which I began to see action cinema after Bruce Lee, and going to see these films, oftentimes thinking I was going to see a little Bruce Lee. And it was this fascination I developed with it over the years, and as I got older and mature, and looking back on these films, where I began to realize how they, for many of us in the Western world, were how we all started to see action cinema and learn about Bruce Lee. As false as it may be sometimes, this is how we began to learn and work our way through all the myths and legends as they were. So there is a lot going into this, and these films have been unfortunately lost in many cases, beaten up, discarded, and I am now, along with my day job, making movies, trying my best to bring them back to life and provide the necessary context with voices that still exist, thankfully, that can talk about these films and tell us how they were made, why they were made, the passion that went behind them, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot to be learned that nobody's really taken the time to ask. I know there's a lot of people that are curious about it out there. So that is what I'm hoping to accomplish with part of my remaining years on this planet. We are going to have a volume 2. We've gone through a number of films that we've managed to either secure the rights to or find elements to. I have about 12 or 13 picked. I don't know if they're all going to be in volume 2 or not. There's a few dependents, but I can tell you there's going to be a couple in there that people are absolutely going to love. And the content, which I'm beginning to shoot next week, as a matter of fact, it will outdo the first one. Let's put it that way. So if you love Bruce Lee, you love Bruce Lee, you love Dragon Lee, you're going to be happy with this. And if you love a few of the others, you're going to be happy as well. So anyways, thanks for talking about this, guys. I hope you have a great talk. I will be listening. And I'll see you in the next volume.
All right. Thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. Thank you. All right, guys. So since we have such a big box set, I thought we'd jump right in, and I'll take, from the top. So we're basically going to just discuss a disc at a time. And on the first one, since there's only one movie, you could just give your overall take on the box set or overall first impressions and your opinion on Enter the Clones of Bruce. So, like, if there's a movie you don't have too much of opinion on it, or you don't want to say much, you could talk more about the other one, or however you guys feel, So,
Cool.
So disc 1, Enter the Clones of Bruce. I saw this in Manhattan, and I got to meet Bruce Lee. It was such an experience flying in to do this and seeing it on the big screen. And I know Leon got to see it on the big screen too. Well, you saw it before that, but seeing it on the big screen just blew my mind. And I thought the documentary, what struck me so much about the documentary is that I was expecting just Bruceploitation from the get-go, but the nice intro they did about Bruce Lee when it got the Shaw brothers and just I mean, I'm such a Shaw Brothers head that if I can even get the little nugget or the littlest thing about Shaw Brothers, I just like get so giddy inside, like get back behind the scenes footage and all that. So I was like goosebumps central just seeing these workers go in, probably having a shitty day to set up some lights or something, you know. But I was just like goosebump McGee in that theater, like, oh my God, they're talking about Shaw Brothers. Or the behind the scenes, and then of course the Bruceploitation stuff was great. So moving with Bruce Lai. I was so like touched from his story. So great to see Bruce Lee, and I just was blown away by the insights, how they kept it lighthearted, the tongue-in-cheek nature of it all, and I thought it was awesome. It was amazing. So that's like, of course, how I feel about Enter the Clones of Bruce. The box set itself, I don't think I've ever got a Severin like item before or disc. I was so impressed. I thought it was great. I wanted to ask you guys, someone might have been Fanatical Dragon. Did you mention your like the words on it are gloss for you or raised on the cover of the box set?
No,
Like,
no, just like spot glossed. So there's
yeah,
like there's that like ever so slight sheen around the text, but
yeah,
and so that feels, the printing on it feels a tiny bit different because of that gloss, but it's not like debossed or embossed.
yeah, mine is absolutely flat. Mine is like
Oh,
absolutely flat.
mine's the
Yeah,
same as Dragon's. Yeah, it's like
yeah,
Yeah, mine's just like that too.
yeah, got
yeah,
like a sheen to it.
yeah. Mine is flush. Maybe I had like a super early one or something.
It's
Who
not
knows?
like you only like. I mean, you feel it differently because it's got that sort of sheen print to it, but it's not like
Yeah.
it's raised or lowered from the box.
Oh, cool.
So I think it's probably, there's not different versions of that. There's different versions of the book, I know, but I think there's just one version of the set.
Oh, different versions of the book. Interesting.
Well, if you got the book through Severin, it's different to the one that people would get through Amazon. And
Okay,
there
so
was like a
maybe
funding.
maybe the book doesn't cover the bonus disc in it or something.
Oh no! Sorry, I'm confusing the issue. Not the book that's inside the box set, like because you got the super hyper Bruceploitation fan bundle where you got like the poster book. The poster book,
yeah.
the separate poster book is the one that has different versions. But the box set, there's only one. But all of ours will be the same.
Oh, cool. Yeah, actually, the poster book wasn't in the bundle. I just was like, I had to buy everything.
Me too.
Okay,
Me too.
you
That's
got it.
exactly what I did. I had to
Yeah.
scoop them both up. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I love it. And to get a little technical, Dragon's the one that taught me this. Like, I hate on DVDs or Blu-rays when you're watching them and like you go back to watch them, it doesn't start in the same spot. You know, Severin was really good with that. They put in the extra stuff. I was a little bit like, I thought the hard of hearing, which is a good thing, of course, for deaf people, but I thought it was very overbearing, the subtitles in this, if you put them on. I thought the hard of hearing, like, I mean, if a cricket moved, it was telling you on this one. You know, I was like, wow, this is the most hard of hearing subtitles. I mean, if a twig, I had so much, it was unbelievable. But that's not like a knock on it. I was just like, wow. But yeah, I love the set. I I thought it was great that every time I started it back up, I was right where I started, you know. And I thought love the digipacks, and the book is premium, and yeah, I was really impressed. Yeah, so cool. I go over to Caleb. What were your initial thoughts, if you'd like, or in discuss Enter the Clones of Bruce?
Yeah. So I'd said this to Jason and Leon. I think I said this last night, but if we're being honest here, I probably only liked half of the movies on this set. However, that's not a knock on anything. I still think this set, you know, regardless of, you know, the quality of the films or whatever, I think the set should have been released anyway. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, oh, they shouldn't have put this film on the set or they should have put that movie on the set. You know, because I think, you know, when it comes to this genre, something that I'm still very new to. I didn't know a whole lot about Bruceploitation. My experience with it is very limited, but you know, I think they need to show like both the best and the worst of the genre. Like, don't just put the best movies out there. Don't just put the worst movies out there. So I'm really glad that the set is out here. Even if probably half the movies I wasn't that big a fan of. So yeah, I'm just like really glad that I got it, you know, because again, my experience with Bruceploitation very limited. So I'm learning all of it now with this set and everything. So yeah, I'm honestly thrilled that I got it and that it's out. It's really exciting. As far as the Enter the Clones of Bruce documentary goes, I will say it was eye opening. very eye opening. Bruce Lee, oh man, like Jason said earlier, his story is very gripping. I really love Bruce Lee's segments in there. Bruce Lee, Dragon Lee, really cool to see those guys. Bruce Lee is probably my favorite. Like I know I've said that to Jason before. Again, even with my limited experience, I still probably say Bruce Lee was my favorite. But even now, he's still probably my favorite. I loved watching him. He's so much fun. With the exception of one thing, we'll get to it. But yeah, I think the set's really great. Enter the Clones of Bruce, I think it's probably the best movie on the set. I know that's a documentary though. You know, if we're not going to include the documentary in like the best movie conversation, you know, then I don't really know what I would say the best one is. But if we're going to include that, yeah, this is the best thing about the set.
Yeah, like just a quick add-on. I feel like it's kind of like the centerpiece to it. So if you have like bad movies on it, it kind of anchors them because you learn about it. You learn about some are going to be so bottom of the barrel that it gives them you look at them, there's more interest to it, and you have more of a like critical eye on it that you can respect it versus like trying to see if it's like a Academy Award winning. I can't even say that word for some of these, you know, as a joke because they're so far from that. But yeah, I think the documentary anchors a lot of it, kind of gives you the perspective, you know.
Yeah.
To the book. Cool. Leon, first impressions or overall take on the box and Enter the Clones of Bruce?
Well, the box, I think it's a very lovely item to have. And the documentary, Enter the Clones of Bruce, it just, it's the best documentary I think I've seen for me since The Best of the Martial Arts. And that thing I used to watch over and over and over again. And I could quite easily do the same with this one. And seeing it on the big screen was absolutely beautiful. I was a little disappointed when I went to see it that there wasn't a bigger audience there. I think more people will go for just the films. And I thought, well, you're missing out here because, you know, it was rather spectacularly put together, and everybody that they got for the documentary, all the interviews, just the way they edited the whole thing. Like you say, the little bit with the Shaw brothers, and then having Philip Coe and Morris, hearing them converse and reflect on the past. Yeah, just beautiful. And I'm sure it's one that I will return to many, many times.
Cool. Sean?
Yeah, I think it's a great time to be alive as a Bruceploitation fan. The fact that I can hold this in my hands is crazy. I mean, years ago, I wouldn't have even dreamed of anything like this getting released. And it's nuts. And I mean, if I point there to have Bruce Lee's autograph on a poster, it's like almost like it's not real. I think the documentary is fantastic. I mean, there's something about the Bruceploitation actors that they seem almost mythical because they never had any personalities outside of them trying to be Bruce. So hearing them actually talk and discuss their stories, it was so unique and so interesting. And I was lucky enough to get a review copy of the documentary, so I actually saw it quite early. And I was desperate to discuss it with people. I was just waiting for everyone to see it. And yeah, I mean, now obviously I'm here with you guys and able to discuss it. But I think there's something wonderful about it in that I think Bruceploitation fans are completely, you know, enamored by it. But I also like the idea that some people that aren't fan of Bruceploitation started picking it up just to check it out, just to see what it's like. And some people are finding Bruceploitation and really enjoying it. If we can talk about, are we doing a separate segment for special features, or shall I talk about them a little bit now?
No, on each disc you can throw it in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the special features on the Enter the Game of Clones documentary, I loved. This isn't directly related to Bruce. Well, it is in a way, but it's not the Bruceploitation that I enjoyed people talking about. It was how Philip Coe and Lo Meng would talk about Shaw Brothers and how Lau Gar Lung seemed to be everyone's hero, like Lau Gar Lung or Chang Che, right? They seem to be everyone's hero and just so far above everyone else. So hearing them talk about that, I mean, I can sit down and listen to the about the industry forever, but hearing them talk with such like joy and such respect in their heart about these people, it's just fantastic. And I have to say, I do not like special features where people go to locations and go, hey, this is where Drunken Master was filmed.
Yeah.
This one is fantastic. Frank
Yeah.
Jank has such a personality, and he is so smart and knowledgeable on these things that I absolutely loved it, which is a complete rarity for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot to mention those. I think the special features on this disc are the best on the set, in my opinion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, them showing Bruce's house and the Shaw Brothers studio. And I mean, I'm sure the Shaw Brothers studio is gone, or that Shaw house, because I think they filmed in like 2017 or something. But yeah, I was moved to a lot of that. They did such a good job. It was really the quality of it, even if it was a handheld, everything was so HD and awesome, impressive.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I meant to throw that in there too. I forgot about the little location tour that they did. That's probably my favorite feature on. Actually, no, I take that back. My favorite feature or special feature is the one about the movie theaters in Chinatown. But we'll dive into that a little bit more. But
Cool.
I really did love this one too. Yeah.
Cool. Dragon, first impressions on the box and Enter the Clones?
I think you can almost think of the box set as being like the best box set for a documentary. Like, I almost view all the films as special features of the documentary feature. Like, there's no surprise that it's on disc 1, right? I think that sets the tone for everything that follows. And it's just, an incredible achievement. As a few other folks have said, as Leon said, like, seeing Philip Cole was the thing. As much as I loved seeing the various Bruces, Philip Cole was the one that emotionally sucker punched me, because he died so kind of quickly after that, right? And Philip Cole was a huge part of the movies that I kind of really adored growing up, and his fight against Gordon Liu at the end of 8 Diagram Pole Fighter, probably within my top 3 fight scenes of all time, right? He was incredible, and he was so deferential to Mars, which was kind of cool to see. Like, you hardly ever see Mars getting propped, right? And it was just really sweet, and I think that happened totally by accident. Like, they weren't expecting Philip Cole to turn up, and I think Mars just threw him a bone because they were paying those guys for the time that they were giving, and at that point in time, all these guys are sort of struggling for money. So I think it was so cool that they kind of got a chance to be brought together. Loved seeing Lo Meng in there. Yeah. All the Shaw Brothers stuff for me was just an absolute treat. But I thought didn't know how it was going to be, because I'd seen, like Jason, I'd never picked up a Severin release before, but I had seen one other documentary by David Gregory before. Like, he made the Lost Souls, the documentary about the making of the island of Dr. Moreau, which is insane. Like, you absolutely see that documentary if you haven't. But that was like a deep dive, laser focus on one movie. So I was like, how's this dude going to handle like an entire genre in a way that somehow makes sense and is coherent? And he pulled it off. Like, I think it was an amazing snapshot of a time period, but never felt overloaded in any one area. Everyone's still, although the interview clips were quite short, the stuff that they chose to use was all kind of really super on point. Yeah. It's so cool seeing Sammo Hung in there, because he hardly ever speaks about this stuff ever, right? Yeah. And so I think all the people that they got were just really valuable. And I think from what Michael Worth had said, the first cut was 3 hours, and the version that we get on the documentary in the end is 94 minutes. I was going to ask you guys that saw it at the cinema, did you see the same cut, or did you see a slightly different edit when you saw it in the festival? Okay.
When I saw it, it was the same, because David Gregory, before he mentioned it, he said he had to get it down to the 90 minutes, or wanted to get it to the 90 minutes, and which is something we should discuss. 90 minutes is the theme of every movie here. When I went to hit it, how long is this? Hour 28, hour 30, every time, you know what I mean? Right on the money. But later, I'll bring it up later. I found out why that is, later on. But yeah, it was the same cut. Yeah.
I thought it was cool that they basically gave us all that extra stuff. So I know, Sean, you said you're not normally a fan of special features, but I kind of viewed it all as all those extra little chunks.
Yeah.
Were what would have been a part of that kind of full, proper experience from seeing the whole documentary. If you were just watching every stitch of footage that they shot, loved the separate little Shaw Brothers feature, really liked Frank's location feature, but the one that sort of surprisingly I found the most eye-opening was the one on film restoration, where they took Lisa Nam back to the film archive in Taiwan. That was fantastic, right? And more Godfrey Ho in any situation is always a good thing. I could listen to that dude speak all day, every day. He's just a total joy anytime he showed up. It's just so fucking cool when you saw him stoking about with his wee backpack. I hope I'm that cool when I'm in my 70s, with that much energy. Yeah, that dude's a legend, right?
That's an interesting thing about Godfrey Ho, though. He was at one point he was a co-director to Chang-Che, and yet nowadays he's known as that director that made those terrible ninja films. At one point, he was with the greatest Hong Kong director, of that era. Well, other than Lau Kar-leung, and now he's just like, oh, this ninja dude. Like he's known for cut and paste films. It's very interesting.
Right. Or he's known for people like putting his name on at the last minute too. On stuff that's not even related. Yeah.
But I think that's because have you guys got the Ninja Terminator set?
Yes.
So weirdly, it's like a good companion to this, right? So there's a couple of really good Godfrey Ho interviews that Arne Venema did. And he sort of speaks about how that sort of came about, but that's a separate conversation for a separate video. But I think like the two weirdly go really nicely together. I'm kind of it's cool that they kind of came out in the same year.
I think it's sold out now. That's set, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think they'll re-release it. They'll re-release it just without the separate kind of movie that they lifted the footage from, and that one doesn't have any extra features on it. So if you wait a couple of months and get the single release, it'll be cheaper and it'll be easier to get, and it won't be a limited edition. So it'll come around again. But yeah, no, I thought that the documentary is the absolute shining star of the box set for me, and that allowed me to like be a lot more forgiving with the movies that I maybe didn't enjoy quite so much, and in a couple of instances just flat out did not like at all. Looking at you, Cameron Connection, but we'll get there in time.
Cool. All right, so we're going on to disc 2 here. I can be a chatty Cathy, self-admittedly, so I'm going to try to skip through a little more. Or
all of us can do. That's why we all have channels.
Yeah, Clones of Bruce Lee. This one's not one of my favorite. I don't know why. On paper, it should be like your favorite thing ever if you love Bruceploitation. But some of the fights in it, like especially the fight at the end of Dragon Lee and Bolo Young, who I adore, that fight is like so clunky. I don't know why. That fight is just like really odd. And it's fun for like the grindhouse laughing, get a theater laughing element. But overall, it's like not high up for me on that one. But I do enjoy it. And when Dragon Lee is fighting Bruce Lee, it's like, I don't know, that's like peak Bruceploitation, even if it's good or bad. That's like, what is happening here? So Clones of Bruce Lee is crazy, but it's not one of my favorites. Enter Three Dragons has really good fights, but the plot, that plot, I think they wrote on a napkin like 5 minutes before filming, and it's just, that's the problem with Kung Fu movies. They can have the simplest plot, like, so simple, and sometimes they'll put that aside and then the fights are great, or sometimes they make the plot so convoluted about the simplest thing that at gunpoint I probably couldn't tell you the plot of Enter Three Dragons. I know that guy like diamonds, and he's like gangsters won't leave him alone, and like
there's like 12 people in that film called Dragon.
Oh my gosh, I know. The jury is still out. I have to ask Michael Worth. So in Enter the Clones, there's a guy, Bruce Lai, Lai. Then in Enter Three Dragons, I think there's also a guy named Bruce Lai, Lai, the guy at the beginning in the yellow tracksuit. But I don't know. And I was thinking, for the documentary or for the stream, I'll call him Bruce Lai 3. And I'm like, oh, whatever. We don't know his name. And then there's a Bruce Tai who is Charles from Clones of Bruce Lee. So I think that's part of the charm, getting lost in how many Bruces you have, But Enter the Three Dragons, I do like more than Clones of Bruce Lee for the fights and Philip Ko, Philip Ko is the enemy at the end. He brings it up because I too love Philip Ko. I think he really there's Leon with his
there we go.
This is Leon's for the hearing impaired section. He's going to give his takes. But so Enter Three Dragons had some difficulties with too, but I enjoyed that one more, even though the plot is like, what the heck's going on, So how about you, Caleb, for that disc 2?
I actually liked Clones of Bruce Lee more than Three Dragons, and I think it really just boiled down to entertainment. Clones of Bruce Lee, I did not give a shit about what was going on. Like it was really just, okay, there's a bunch of Bruce Lee clones and there's some fighting, and it's fun. Like I had a lot of fun with that one. It was great seeing John Ben, which I will throw this in there, the little interview with him that Michael Worth did. Amazing. Really good interview. I love that.
That was sad.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, I think just on an entertainment level, I like Clones of Bruce Lee more. Enter Three Dragons, I did not like it at first, but as it went on, I was like, okay, this is actually pretty fun. Like this, as the movie carries on and then the fights start happening, they're firing on all cylinders with the fights. I remember like whenever the finale was going on, like Dragon Lee comes in there at the end, but then you also got like Bruce Lai fighting and all that. You get them fighting. Like, so whenever that started, I was like, damn, this is cool. I really like watching all those fights go down. But yeah, like for the first half of Enter Three Dragons, I was really confused. It's like, are you Dragon? Yeah, I'm Dragon. Like, where's the other dragon? Like, I'm Dragon. It's just weird. And then why is Dragon Lee playing a character named Bruce? Like, what? And then there's two other dragons. I don't get it. I don't know. But I mean, yeah. If I had to pick which one I like more, I like Clones more. But I will say, Enter Three Dragons had a absolutely stellar finale.
Awesome, Leon.
Well, as you can see, I have a thumbs up and a thumbs down. So that means I'm somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to highlight one of them. I thought you were going to highlight one.
No. That's just I'm somewhere in the middle. Clones of Bruce Lee, I haven't watched on this actual disc release.
Yeah.
This one, last time I saw it was on a YouTube viewing, and it was actually the one that made me think, okay, maybe I need to explore a little more, because I enjoyed the fights, as Caleb said. I thought there were a lot of fun in this. I love having Bolo in there. Anytime Bolo's in, I'm sold. And I was looking forward to getting back to it, because I thought that when I saw this one, I just didn't quite enjoy it as much as I did the Clones. Enter Three Dragons, it was just, the story was so ropey on it. And there was, with the fight scenes, although some of them were good, they felt of really varying quality between the performers to me. Yeah. And I just, again, I'm somewhere in between. There was some really good stuff that I did enjoy. But from memory, I'd say I'd have to give it to Clones, but it's very narrow. I need to watch it again before I can make a full decision on this. But in between, full disclaimer as well, I haven't done any of the extras. Between solid watching the films and therapy sessions, I just didn't have time.
Cool.
But Sean? You need therapy for watching these.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? You need Bruceploitation therapy.
I've been having dreams. While I'm going around going,
for me, I'm kind of gonna go in a different direction. I think this is other than the documentary, this is my favorite disc on the set, personally. Not because the films are stellar, which I like them. I actually like both films, but for me, this encapsulates Bruceploitation. You've got all the clones popping up. You've got Bolo, which is, perfect. You got Philip Coe popping up. I just think it completely encapsulates everything you want from Bruceploitation. So I really, really like the disc. I actually put Enter Three Dragons above the Clones of Bruce Lee. But I think kicking off the set after the documentary with Clones of Bruce Lee is perfect. I think that's a great, great move. If someone's watching this disc by disc, which I think most people do, I think that's just a perfect kickoff film. It's insane. It's got everyone in it, and it's just for me, it's a joy to watch because it has the essence of Bruceploitation. Enter Three Dragons, the mental plot is kind of cast aside for me, and I just enjoyed it. It's an absolute fight fest, and for a Kung Fu cinema fan, that's what I love. Fights from start to finish, and to be honest, I don't mind the fight choreography in either one. I know the Clones is a bit clunky. I will agree with Jason. It's pretty clunky, but I don't know. There's something about it that I do actually like. But maybe that's because I know the Clones are generally clunky in a lot of films. So maybe I'm just more forgiving. But I enjoyed this disc. I thought it was pretty solid.
Cool.
All right, Dragon.
I'm kind of in the middle, not quite to the dizzying highs that it was for Sean, but certainly not. Yeah, I can really enjoy both. I think, like Caleb, probably Clones is the one that I will more likely go back to and watch as a complete movie. The Three Dragons, I'd probably jump to the end and watch the Philip Cole fight rather than suffering through trying to work out. Although I think there's maybe kind of more sort of quotable fun in that movie because the dub's so insane and some of the absolute screamed lines are pretty entertaining, particularly from Dragon Lee. But I think I dig the storyline in Clones. As weird as it is, the Bruceploitation movies that I generally like the most are the ones that don't just try and, I don't really like the biopics anything like as much as I like the crazier entries, right? When they try and do their own thing and when they sort of try and at least sort of be a little bit fresh with the sort of stories, because we never got to see, like, the real Bruce Lee never really got to make any sort of science fiction movie, right? He wasn't around long enough for his career to descend into that, or ascend, depending on how you wanted it, into those sort of areas, right? So he never got a chance to diversify his brand that way. So I kind of dig it when Bruceploitation basically just shamelessly jumped into whatever else was popular at the time. So I kind of like the sort of campy sci-fi element of how they go about doing the clones, and just the fact they call them Bruce 1, 2, and 3 kind of tickles me. And I dig it. So I think between the two, and for Chang-Do as well, it's always cool seeing Chang-Do, another Shaw Brothers veteran. And he was really funny, right? He's kind of got a sort of twinkle in his eye in Clones that was really cool, because sometimes he was just straight villain in a lot of Shaw's movies, and in the Bruceploitation stuff he kind of got to like just enjoy himself a little bit more, I think. So I really enjoyed him in this, training up our various clones, and Bo was cool fun to see too. But yeah, Chang-Do was probably the MVP for me from that first movie, even more than the clones, right? I loved seeing him. And then special features wise, I think I did check out the John T. Benn interview. That was on the Clones disc, wasn't it? Yeah. And that was pretty good. It's kind of, and I haven't gone through the commentary, but I think his brother's on the commentary track, which I will dive into at some point. So yeah, first disc, solid stuff. Top above tier.
Cool. Yeah, my one thing I wanted to add is, I almost said Fanatical Dragon. Dragon Lee, he always was like the one I didn't watch as much, and he always felt like in these movies like a peripheral character, because they filmed him in I think it was filmed in Korea on one of them, and they did the rest in Hong Kong or at different times. So not only is he such a character of Bruceploitation, like he's like not even like, doesn't feel like a real person. It feels like a character that he's just kind of sidelined in a lot of these. So when it got to some of these later ones, and I got to see him branch out and not do the Bruceploitation the whole time, it's like, okay, that's the moments for me where that's why you kind of like, it takes it up a level for me, where Bruce Lee is trying to get away from the Bruceploitation. Bruce Lee is trying to get away, and Dragon Lee is not thumbing his nose every 5 seconds.
He's busting out shapes.
yeah, that little whatever that is. But like that, for me, that's the magic of Bruceploitation. Them trying to break out from it. That's the real story here. You know what I mean? And that's All right. So jumping on to disc 3. I hope I don't lose the number here. Yeah, disc 3. Enter the Game of Death is like a childhood favorite for me, and I absolutely love it. It's so ridiculous. I swear the plot of that movie is 2 minutes long, and it's just a gonzo movie of fight scenes, and they're good. It falls into the problem of kung fu movies. I think sometimes they'll say, "Oh, you're a great villain, so we're going to have you fight 3 times because we don't have enough guys," or something. He fights Bowler like 4 times in that movie. So,
and playing different characters too, Ken, isn't he? Doesn't Bowler play like 2 different people in it?
I thought what it was is he is Japanese and he's pretending he's Chinese, but that so at the end he says, "Oh, you guys thought I was." Oh wait, I think I got it wrong. He says, "You thought I was Chinese, but I'm really Japanese." I don't know. It is confusing. It is confusing.
I think he was actually Japanese, just like disguised as a Chinese, like in the movie.
Yeah, and then for Goodbye Bruce Lee, that one hurts me a little bit because I'm such a Bruce Lee fan. And I'm always like saying how great he is. And this one, it's his period before 1977 where he's not as good. He didn't find his footing. It's very important, as like the first Bruceploitation film, more or less. And I like to see the growth of Bruce Lee because, man, he's heavy-footed. His acting, it's like, like when the acting gets real bad is when it actually shows the person, and then like, when you're doing like a childhood movie, like a good movie, like it starts and you're already like saying what you're going to be saying. On these movies, it goes to the guy. You can almost see action, and then they sit there, and then it goes. It's like I see a lot of that happening in some of these. And I guess part of it, what it is I want to like scream to the world how great Bruce Lee is. And when his showings weren't as good on here, it's like, oh, people people are going to think he's horrible in some of this, but I think it's part of the story, it's part of the story. So I was a little bummed to see like not as much of his later stuff, but I think it's good to see this movie as like to see his growth. And yeah, not too much to say on that. I do think it's important to note, if you missed the special features on this is the American version. And so the American version just makes no sense. He has a Tower of Death in his town, whatever that means. And in the international version, if you watch the special features, he is sat down in a movie theater and told, you're going to be the successor to Bruce Lee. Here's his footage of Game of Death. And then it cuts to him, I guess, going up to Pagoda. But if you watch it as a special feature, you don't realize that this is supposed to be a movie within a movie.
Yeah.
It's very confusing. I don't know if I like it better with that in it, because I think that threw reviewers and the crowds. I think that like they didn't know what the heck was going on, because it never went back to the theater saying, oh, what do you think about this? So that's a good thing to point out. I think it's hysterical that they talk about the Tower of Death like it's like a McDonald's down the street, But yeah, so that's my take on that one. How about you, Caleb?
Yeah. So I had watched Enter the Game of Death about a year ago, I think. Yeah, it was about a year ago, because I was just really curious about that one, and even and like watching it again on the set, I love it more now than I did the first time I saw it. First time I saw it, I was like, it's fine, it's decent. But when I watch it now, I don't know. I think after watching like a couple more exploitation films before that and watching the documentary, my appreciation for it grew. And so when I revisited Enter the Game of Death, I was like, okay, yeah, this movie is incredible. Like I really love it. I love the tower sequence. I love how long the tower sequence is. There's so much going on. He fights so many different people. I still hate the snake part. I still hate that. I hated it then. I hate it now because I just don't like snakes. But and then it's just the animal cruelty. I can't deal with it. But yeah, I love the movie even more now. If there's one gripe I have about the movie, it is that towards the end, whenever like after they get out of the tower and then there's like the chase going on and stuff like that, a lot of the fight scenes are slowed down, so like the choreography, it just like really drags it out, like with certain moves. And it's like, and I was thinking like, okay, why do they have to slow it down so much? Because there's just, it's yeah, I didn't like that part. That's just like the one gripe I have about it, is that it's just too, a lot of parts of the finale are too slow. But other than that, Enter the Game of Death, I love it. One of my favorite movies on this set. Goodbye Bruce Lee was disappointing.
Yeah.
And Jason and I have had a lot of conversations like throughout the weeks about the set, and we talked a lot about Bruce Lee because I had said before Bruce Lee is probably my favorite right now, but he Jason of course has stressed to me, you got to see more of what Bruce Lee did afterwards, because this set is not it is probably not the best example of Bruce Lee. It's a lot of his like really early stuff. And so when I watched Goodbye Bruce Lee, I didn't really know what to expect. And so, yeah, I was really disappointed. This is neither here or there, but Bruce Lee's hair in that movie is very strange. I don't know if that was a wig or not in Goodbye Bruce Lee. It looked like a very poorly done bowl cut, like when I was 10 years old. But
there is another one with a wig. Yes.
Yeah, right there.
There's another one coming up with it. Is definitely a wig. I think that's just yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if it's his real hair or not in Goodbye Bruce Lee. It looks, I don't know. But anyway, it's neither here or there. But I mean, I think the tower sequence was fine with him going up. I'm glad and also kind of ashamed at the same time that I've watched the deleted scene where Bruce Lee fights the boxer with the Muhammad Ali like type guy. I think it's the dub, because the way they dub his voice in that scene is really weird. It's
It
very
is so
goofy.
far off from what he's saying. It is so far off. Yeah.
Like, come on, man, let's fight. Yeah, that's kind of what he sounded like. But yeah. Anyway, overall, yeah, that movie was just kind of disappointing. I was not a huge fan of it, but I'm so glad for the experience. I'm glad I got to check it out.
Awesome, Leon.
Okay, would anybody like to hazard a guess at the thumb situation for the first one?
I'm going to get thumbs up.
Oh,
Oh, thumbs down.
Ouch.
This, I had high hopes for this because I'd heard a lot of good about it, and I was watching it in utter disbelief. I was like, "What the hell?" The amount of times that the thumb across the nose, it was like an annoying tick, and I have to say, I'm clearly worked out now. I'm definitely a Lie and not a Lay fan. I found this one painful, but the saving grace for me in this, even though I'll give it a thumbs down, was that we had one really good fight scene with Bolo in it, and I thought that's the best I've seen Bolo ever look. So I would definitely return to it, even though I'll give it the thumbs down. I think I need different elements to my films to, please me. And story is a big part of it for me. Even in a Kung Fu movie, believe it or not, I do need to grab onto some story. And I just didn't like the way it carried on after the tower, even though that's got, possibly my favorite fights in it. I was, very disillusioned with Enter the Game. Therefore, I expected to like it a lot more than I actually did. Now, if I click on to the next one, anybody want to hazard a guess?
If you went thumbs down for that, you have to do a thumbs down for the other one.
I agree.
I can't. I can't fathom you giving Goodbye Bruce Lee a thumbs up.
No.
There we go.
Oh, in the middle.
Wait, I'm confused.
No,
Sort
Oh,
of.
okay.
Mainly down, but I give it a tiny thumbs up. And now you have to hear me out here.
Is that mini Jeremy Beadle hand?
It's a bit like Scary Movie. No, take my good hand.
Take my hand, child. Take my hand. I love that movie.
My other hand's not strong enough.
When it started off, and we got the King of Kung Fu song, which I've just got to shout out to that. I love that song by Candy.
Me too.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. And I didn't realize being a King of Kung Fu had much to do with gymnastics till this film started, which was, quite an eye opener.
Yeah.
And I was lost then, but then we got into the film, and there was a little bit of storytelling to please Leon. That was okay. And there's some fight scenes before we get to the tower, yeah, and all that stuff. I was kind of digging. I thought, I quite like this. This is Bruce Lee. I like it. It's okay. What's everybody dislike on this one? And then you get to the tower, and all of a sudden I had this overwhelming feeling like I was watching a Jerry Anderson directed film. I'm like, what the hell? I never seen Bruce Lee look so much like a Thunderbird puppet.
Oh yeah, he does the rock sock'em robots like going across.
Yeah, and the bit where he's disappearing behind the guy with the sword and popping up, and I was like, oh no, please don't do it. And it hurt me, but there was something, despite how bad that was, there was like I don't know, the concept of it I kind of liked, and I thought, you know what, I will probably return to this because there's a couple of bits, like there's overhead shots when he's fighting in a couple of scenes that I really liked, and I think I liked what they were trying to do more than I do the finished product. Yeah. So I will go to this again, and I will be very aware of what I'm going to watch. And I know it's a little bit of a stinker, but I do like Lie, and even though that wig is awful, and the suit's a little bit baggy, what's going on, man? Show off your muscles, show off your physique. And but no, this one just pinched it out the two for me. And I know I'm looking at my subscriber count now. It's going down about 10 at a time. But fair dues, that was just my take on it. So I'll hand over to you, Sean.
I am also I've coined this phrase. I am also a lisexual. That's what I'm going to call myself. I am a lisexual gentleman.
Can we show him?
Yep. Big fan of Lie. These films, firstly, I appreciate them putting these two together because obviously it's the game of death concept. I think it works. The first one, I enjoy. I don't think I have anything different to say that's not already been said. I enjoy it. It's a solid film. I will admit, about 2 years ago when I watched it, I didn't care for it. I just actually looked at my Letterboxd account, and I think I gave it 2 stars back then. And I think this time around, I gave it 3 stars. It's just, again, it's just fun. It's just a slice of Bruceploitation fun. There's not, in my eye, there's not really much to hate about it. But it's, it's good stuff. Goodbye, Bruce Lee, however, on the other hand, it takes so long to get going. It's so clunky and it's so slow. And by the time the fights roll around or the tower rolls around, it's kind of like, great, it's here, but I just have to sit through, an hour of bullshit to get here. And I just felt tired by the end of it. It's fine. It's, it's not one I'll go and rewatch. I can't see that happening. I will say about one of the special features, these pop up on a number of discs. I really appreciate the round tables that they have.
Yes. Yeah.
They're short and sweet, but it's so much fun just watching people that love Kung Fu cinema talk about Kung Fu cinema or Bruceploitation or Bruce Lee, whatever it is. It's just fun to see people just chat about it like I would want to chat about it. And that's a good time. I really appreciate those popping up on the discs. But this is not the best disc for me. It's kind of in the middle. I'll return to one of the films, but I can't see myself returning to Goodbye, Bruce Lee.
I do want to point out real quick that my wife watched pretty much all these movies with me as we were going along, and I can tell you she hated Goodbye Bruce Lee mainly because of the song. I love the song, but she hated hearing it. So
it gets stuck in your head though, and it won't go away.
Yeah, I remember,
maybe we'll sing it at the end. We'll see.
They played that song so many times in the movie, and I could see it in her. I could see it in her face that she was not having a good time with that movie.
Sorry, Amber. Sorry about that.
Dragon. Go.
I'd kind of dig both of these. Right, they're not my favorites on the set, but I like them both. Actually, it's hard to confer. For me to kind of put one above the other. Probably Enter the Game of Death, the one that I was more familiar with. I'd kind of had the Vengeance Pack release of that. So I'd seen that pretty recently, looking pretty good. But it was a treat to kind of see it here. I think it looks better on the Severin set than it does on the Vengeance Pack release, if anyone's got that and is worrying about if they should double dip. I loved seeing Lee Hoi San show up for the first of several appearances that he makes, where clearly they just hired Lee Hoi San for a day and got him to do like one scene or one fight in the movies that he shows up in. But I thought he was kind of good fun here. The kind of villains, all the different levels that in Enter the Game of Death that he kind of fights his way up are all suitably cartoonish and kind of good fun. And the whole thing kind of feels like there was that trailer that the Vengeance Pack did where they cut it to the music from the video game. And I kind of look almost on it as being like the first sort of proto video game style ascension, because we never.
You mean Kung Fu, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because it took years for us to kind of actually see what kind of Bruce Lee was intending to do properly when the kind of the assembled footage came out. So this was weirdly prophetic in a few places where they got a couple of things oddly close to what Bruce Lee was planning, like the whole red light means death, and kind of that one when he's fighting the two guys together. And so I kind of enjoy it. I think the pagoda fights look better in Enter the Game of Death, not speaking choreography wise, but just how it's actually been framed and shot. You buy it more as an actual real location, but weirdly it is a real location in the other movie. Kind of once we get to kind of Goodbye Bruce Lee, that is a real pagoda, and it was kind of cool seeing shots from the ground looking up and seeing them fighting on the balcony in the top level, and even a couple of like Bruce like almost getting pushed off the banister, and you kind of get to see it, a camera over his shoulder, and see like they clearly got a couple of people on the ground to walk and said, "Look, show how high up you are."
Yeah.
Kind of dug that stuff, right? And I think I can always get into any sort of pagoda fight situation. So for me, I kind of enjoyed them both. Goodbye Bruce Lee, definitely slower, but like Leon said, I like the fact that they tried to do a little bit more of the story, the whole kind of him thinking that he's doing the right thing of trying to save somebody at the beginning, and it's just like a very elaborate kind of con by this guy staging his own death. Pretty good fun, right? I think we could have probably done without the stuff in the movie theater, because that does confuse the plot. But I kind of like them both. The Candy song, yeah, it's pretty funky. I liked when they used instrumental versions of it too. There's a couple of places where they kind of did like other riffs on that. So yeah, I kind of, for me, I think absolutely one of my more favorite discs on the set. I think and one of my more favorite Bruce Lee entries as well. It's not my absolute favorite, but kind of one of the movies of his that I'll probably return to the most. So yeah, I was all in for it. I always love a yellow jumpsuit. Always keeps me happy.
Yeah, as a little piece of trivia, so Kung Fu obviously is like based on Game of Death, but did you know that Wheels on Meals has an influence in that? Like they're named after characters in that? Did you guys? Yeah. Someone told me that. I was like, really? And I Wikipedia'd it or wherever I saw it. I was like, wow, interesting. That's like a strange mashup,
Because it was called Spartan. Was it called Spartan X when it came out in Japan?
Yeah.
And so I think the title of the game itself was also called like Spartan X when it came out. So you're kind of playing the characters named after Jackie's character in Wheels on Meals and stuff. But yeah. Good
it's called Kung Fu Master in the States, or Kung Fu Master in the arcade, and then it stripped it off to Kung Fu on Nintendo. So yeah. All right. So I mentioned this to Leon earlier. He's going to take us out through the next discs.
Okay. Right.
You do not know how happy I am that Leon got these.
Yes. Right. So disc 4, we've got 2. We have The Dragon Lives Again and Bruce and the Iron Finger. So for The Dragon Lives Again, would anybody like to guess what I have on that?
If you don't have a thumbs down, you're insane.
I'm gonna go in the middle.
For me, knowing Leon, I'm saying definitely thumbs up.
It should be better be a thumbs up.
Yeah. Hang on, no, that's the wrong one.
That's not
Dragon Lives.
Wrong one. Okay.
Wrong
picture.
Okay. They're so small on there.
I thought you meant the thumb up.
I was right.
Yeah. God damn it.
So this I think I enjoyed it. It was just a little bit strange. But that being said, I absolutely love Bruce Lee Young. I think I came across him first in Magnificent Bodyguards, probably, and then a little bit later in Broken Oath, which I absolutely adore his performances in those. He's one of those dynamic kicking guys that he's just electric, isn't he? He moves so sharp, so fast, so on point. That side of it I really, really loved. And usually I do like films that are a little bit out there, fantasy-ish, as you know, I like stuff like Robo Tricks and all that stuff. But I think it just bit off too much for me, with having the man with no name, Eric Tang being Popeye. I was like, Jesus, I just can't get my bearings here. Half of me absolutely loves this film, and the other half of me absolutely hates it. But and then we had the erotic ghost story sort of segment where you got the women in the bath together. I'm like, yeah, I really think this is great. Give it to me. I want to join in. But yeah, Dragon Lives Again for me was an absolute mixed bag. But I love that we have this, and it's the same with all of the titles, even the ones I've given thumbs down to.
Yeah,
I'm just rating it as a film, but the experience on all of them has been outstanding, and I had such a good time with this. And like you say, if something's so bad it's good, that's perfect. I can dig that. As for the other one, Bruce and the Iron Finger, come on guys, what did I vote for on that?
Thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Where are we? Bloody hell, I really need a bigger screen here. Is that the one? I think that's the one.
Oh, double thumbs up. There you
Double
go.
thumbs up.
Nice.
Double thumbs up. I mean, holy hell. Light is on form in this one. And of course, again, we got Bruce Leung as well. And yeah, the two of them combined and the scraps in this are really, really good. We do have story in there. And I think it flows really, really well throughout the film. Some good stunt work in there. I like some of the camera work. I like you got the Ku Feng in there. I mean, shout out to him. You know, what a great villain. And yeah, I love all the elements in Bruce and the Iron Finger. I wish I could comment on the extras, but I haven't done as yet. But this for me, yeah, it's a win. I really like it, especially Bruce and the Iron Finger. That's one of the standouts of the set for me. I absolutely adore that film, and I will be returning to it several times. I told Shaz, even though she fell asleep, I said, I'm going to get you on a day when you're not tired and you're going to watch that one, because I think it's well worth your time.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I'll pass over to Sean. What did you think of Disc 4?
Yeah, this is a good question because so The Dragon Lives Again. I think they put the worst film with the best film. The Dragon Lives Again. It's too much for me. I love goofy, stupid comedy, and I think this one just pushes the envelope a little too hard. And I got tired of it. Now, don't get me wrong. I imagine a lot of people will love this film because it is one of those so bad it's good, and you can get friends over, drink some beers, and watch this and have a grand old time. And for me, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. And I love Bruce Leung. I think he's fantastic. Again, like Leon said, he's just incredible to watch when it comes to fight scenes. And in this film, he has so much charisma. And I like that, but it's not enough to win me over. I want to be one of those people that love this film. I really do. I've watched it twice now, and I disliked it both times. And I'm almost ashamed to say I don't like it. But for me, it was the hardest to watch on the set.
Oh, wow.
Keep in mind, I have not watched Cameron Connection. I started it, but I couldn't. Not that I gave up on it, but I just didn't have the time to watch it. So yeah,
I envy you.
Yeah. I think I'm one of the
Chill, Caleb. Save it for later, buddy.
Bruce and the Iron Finger, I absolutely love. I have a Blu-ray release, a standalone Bluray release of that. I'm not sure who was that. Pearl River that released that.
No, it's not one of the Gold Ninja ones, isn't it?
Oh, maybe.
Oh,
No. They did Dragon Strikes Back. I'm sorry, they did the Gold Connection. So yeah, I don't know who did that. Interesting. Yeah. Oh, they might have. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had that a while ago when it got released, and I've watched it plenty of times. I very much enjoy it. I think it's a fight fest. Seeing Ku Feng complain that sex ruins his kung fu. I mean, come on now, you can't go wrong with that. I think it's great. It's like it's almost like a giallo film. It's like a kung fu giallo film, just a bit cheesier. And it's just super enjoyable. I have a great time with it every time, and I think it's definitely one of the kind of, I wouldn't say top tier Bruceploitations, but it's up there as one of the better Bruceploitation films. It doesn't reach the dizzying heights of Dynamo or the Llama Avenger or something like that. But it is just very, very enjoyable. I have a good time with it. I love the combination of the two actors, Bruceploitation actors, and when I told my wife I wanted to show her the Iron Finger, she was not happy. She very much questioned me. No, a good time. I and again, it has a round table on it. I love that. The reason why I'm looking down is I'm looking at the special features.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing we haven't mentioned so far: Michael Wirth's introduction to all these.
So cool.
Such a nice little addition. I watched every single one with that intro, and it's just nice to hear him, give us a little information about the film before we go into the film. And that's such a nice little addition there. And then, of course, there's deleted scenes, which fair enough. I think it's very interesting that we're getting deleted scenes. You know, all of them aren't necessarily great, but it's nice that there's footage out there that was removed from the film that we now get to see. But yeah, solid disc all in all. But I really one day want to be one of those people that love The Dragon Lives Again. And I will watch it again. I will try. Unfortunately, I don't drink, so I won't like it for that reason. But maybe I can take up like heroin or something and watch it again. And, I might have a good time.
Maybe just leave the film.
Yeah, I do want to add real quick about Michael Wirth's introductions with these movies. I love those too. That's also one of my favorite things about this set, because I feel like with a couple of these movies, I probably would have had a really hard time understanding some of them if it were not for Michael Wirth's introductions. So yeah, I'm really
context.
Yeah, it definitely helped with the context with some of them. So yeah, I'm really glad that they threw those in there. That's one of my favorite things about this set. And I do want to backtrack for a second too. Goodbye, Bruce Lee. My favorite special feature is on there, which is the
last Kung Fu picture.
Last Kung Fu picture show.
Yeah,
yes. I love that feature. You know, the tour through Chinatown, showing off all the theaters and stuff like that. That's one of my favorite things, you know, and I love hearing Michael Wirth tell his story about like all the theaters he went to. That's like a really great feature. That's like one of those ones that I had the most fun watching.
Yeah, I think we can all agree, like, Bruceploitation needs context in a way. Like, yeah. I know Leon and Caleb, you guys listen, I think maybe Dragon to a lot of the Clones cast before you watch some of these. I think that's a great way to do it, because I don't know, like, yeah, it just needs context probably. Like, if you watch Drunken Master 2, I think anyone can just be like, wow, you know? Yeah. But Bruceploitation, it at its worst, it still falls into this such a zany genre that's part of the fun of it, you know? But
yeah.
Right, Dragon's turn.
This disc, another winner for me. The 2 thumbs up for both of these, right? I think Dragon Lives Again, I'm sure, is going to be the one that is probably, for people maybe not huge fans of kind of martial arts cinema or kung fu cinema, I think it's going to be the most popular one on the box set for a lot of people. It's not my favorite one on the whole box set, but I really enjoy it. The dub in particular is fantastic here. The whole "Listen, Dracula, your zombies can't help you."
Listen, Dracula.
A lot of fun. The guy doing the overdub voice for Bruce Lang did a really good job, and goes back to what I was saying earlier, where the ones I really enjoy, the ones that just branch out and do their own thing, and kind of try and deliver something a bit different. So I love the whole concept of basically Bruce in the underworld. And you could just tell who was popular at the time, because that was who he was kind of coming up against. It took me ages to work out the guy who I initially thought was maybe Davy Crockett, then realized was meant to be Kane from Kung Fu, right? Yeah. One of his sort of semi-allies. But yeah, and I really dug it. I think it had a almost Super Inframan-esque quality. It's not as good as Super Inframan, but it had that sort of vibe to it that I kind of dug on. And really kind of good fun seeing Bruce Liang just having a good time. The second film, arguably one of the absolute kind of flat out best movies on the whole set, right? And again, that whole thing of getting to see a kind of a Bruce Lee-esque character in a sort of genre that we never got to see before. And here we kind of get a murder mystery, and it was so kind of cool seeing a kind of police procedural, right? And the difference in Bruce Lee's performance from the disc before to this is night and day. Really, really goodness. Again, we get Lee Hoi-san back for one day's filming, rocking a white shirt, white hat combo that I fucking loved. He looks really, really cool in the kind of in the sort of scrapyard, and so much of this could be sorted out so much more easily for him, because his instinct told him like that Ku Feng was probably the guy about 20 times before he actually confronted Ku Feng. And he had this little bracelet that he kept showing to people and being like, that was his sort of reason for whether or not to like throw down with people. It's like, God, come on, you're not a great police detective, but I'm all in. I'm enjoying watching him try and work his way through things. Going undercover at the Kung Fu school was pretty good fun too. But yeah, I absolutely love this. And Ku Feng is such a treat. Again, another Shaw's veteran that was in so many movies. And here you kind of got a chance to do a little bit more than Shaw's ever sometimes gave him the chance to do. They certainly never got to sort of see him play a sexually frustrated Kind of like
Madman.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. And the kind of black sort of kind of face covering that he kind of used when he went out was pretty cool to see too. I just thought the whole thing worked really well. So yeah, definitely, I think Iron Finger my favorite film of the two. But I really enjoyed The Dragon Lives as well. I think both of these are kind of really good, solid entries. One of my more, I think the discs that I'll probably return to more again. There's certain discs I know I'm probably never going to put into my player again. Cameron Connection. We'll get there in a second. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed them both. And special features wise, echo what Caleb said, that kind of last Kung Fu Picture show extra, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
The last,
was really cool, right? And I think kind of really interesting to see it, though a little bit tinged with sadness when you kind of see how sad San Francisco's kind of looking now, right? Towards the end. But yeah, no, kind of just a really nice, well thought out. All of Michael Worth's little short films, because I think it's dismissive in a way to call them just featurettes, right? I think he did a good job of trying to do something a little bit different. He clearly doesn't like doing people just sitting talking straight to camera for the whole thing, so he tries to kind of find more interesting, more creative ways to deliver it. So yeah, I thought that was great too. I haven't checked out the commentaries yet, but I definitely will for these.
Cool.
Excellent. Go Jace.
Yeah, so Dragon Lives again. Going into it when it started, a lot of these, like when I moved to LA, I went to Tarantino's theater. I brought that up a lot. That's almost like my in American Pie, that girl keeps saying, one time at band camp, that's like my band camp a little bit. Like that gave me like such an introduction to how you can see these movies, how if something can be so slow that the audience can just crack up at one little thing and it makes the movie go to another level. So watching movies through that lens, I can love like some of the ones we're going to get into later, mostly. But Dragon Lives Again, I thought was going to be like that, but it's so over the head, hits you so over the head with everything that it kind of, and it goes in circles. Like I think they only had like 3 sets. It felt like every time there was an important fight, they'd go to the rocks, outside of the rocks, and then they were in the other sets. But I do like Bruce Long. They did a good job of everything seeming like a fever dream. That's something I wrote here. It's like really surreal. And yeah, it was good. It just was kind of middle of the road for me, maybe towards thumbs down, just because it's so over the head that it didn't have that subtle grindhouse thing where like the audience would laugh, but it just seemed too like I said, just like too on the mark sometimes for me, the humor. And then for Bruce and the Iron Finger, I absolutely loved it. I feel this shows Bruce Lee coming into his later period, where I say he like did a deal with the devil. I don't know what he did. It's just 1977. He's like, you know what? I'm here now and I'm going to fight awesome and I can act like really good. And and this isn't like fully into that, but maybe it is 79, I think, but it just, they did a different direction of this, of the thriller aspect. And and I don't know what's going on with Ku Feng. Like there was a sexual thing on, but he was turned. I thought he had rabies at time. His eyes were bugging out. He was just like I don't know. He cracked me up. In the fight, let me see here what I wrote here. Some other things. Bruce Lang is a great martial artist. The fight versus him with the slow-mo was like kind of iconic feeling. I thought that was pretty cool, and it was great. And I agree with everyone there. The Lux was such a cool documentary. The last Kung Fu Picture show. And I had talking to Michael about that, and I could really see his emotion in that. And is that the one with there's funny things with Frank Zhang in the alley. A car comes and you could see him swear under his breath. And they're just like, forget that scene. And then Frank Zhang, I like seeing him do those forms in the street. I thought that was really cool. I didn't know he knew.
That Hungar, wasn't it?
Okay, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Hungar does like a lot of.
I think it was Wing Chun. Like
maybe
at least that's how I'm remembering it. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a great. And they have good chemistry, even if they're not on screen together. You can tell they were having fun just running around the city, and And Dragon, you may know. I think that's Frank Zhang's hometown. I know he was like born in Kowloon, but is that where he was stationed out of the U.S. or like where he lives mainly?
No, he's in Oakland.
Oh, right, but that's where they were at, though, wasn't it?
Really? Oh, I thought they were almost. I thought San Francisco and Oakland are quite far away from each other, aren't they?
No, they're like basically the same. They're basically the same.
Okay.
Then so that's like where they were at in Oakland. Cool. Yeah, and that's where Big Trouble in China is from, that Chinatown.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool too.
Yeah, Dragon Lives Again. much like Leon, I loved everything about it, and I also hated everything about it. It's definitely S tier as far as like entertainment goes. I was having a blast with that movie, but at the same time, I was also just sitting there like, what is happening? Because there's just so many bizarre things. The ending threw me for a loop with Bruce like floating up and away, and it's yeah, but Bruce Long fighting was great. He is an incredible martial artist. It's a lot of fun. The dub is hilarious in like a really fun way. I always talk about how much I love classic English dubs in these old kung fu movies. Listen, Dracula. Like that's like that line is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. Probably it will live rent free in my head forever. It's just so much fun, and the characters. I know Sean wasn't a big fan of all the characters, but I did like seeing Popeye and Zatoichi and James Bond. I think the one in the white suit was supposed to be Scarface. I don't know, or maybe the Godfather or something like that. But
yeah,
Was there an Indiana Jones in there? I couldn't tell.
That was Kane,
No?
wasn't it?
that was Kane.
so.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I thought it was
Yeah.
Indiana Jones as well. I thought it was already
Yeah.
shit Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I didn't know who that was. Like I had to look it up because I could see him like with the hat and everything. I'm like, who is that supposed to be? And so I went and looked it up. I'm like, oh, okay, it's David Carradine. But yeah,
I want to walk the lands like Kane in Kung Fu.
yeah, but Dragon Lives Again. That was pure entertainment. I'll give it that. It was definitely pure entertainment. That's something that I think I could throw on if I have a bunch of friends over. Not that my friends would probably hate me if I put them through that, but I think it'd be a lot of fun. Bruce and the Iron Finger. I love that movie. Another one of my favorites on the set. I did have a bit of a gripe when it came to Kufang. There wasn't a problem with Kufang's performance; he was great. But what I didn't like was kind of just like the way they told the story with him, because like you were saying, or I think Dragon said it a minute ago, where Bruce Lee is kind of like the world's worst detective in this, but because as far as the audience goes, clearly it's Kufang, but but Bruce Lee, they haven't, in the other characters of the film, they haven't figured that out yet, and I think they probably could have done a better job with making this seem more of like a mystery instead of just us knowing outright that it's Kufang. They even like say in the movie, like when Bruce Lee has questioned people about this, like, who does anybody know the Iron Finger style? Is like, oh yeah, Kufang does, and he still can't figure it out.
Yeah, and what I want to add on that,
Sorry.
but what I just want to add in there, like, it's so obvious to us, right? But when the moment comes where you think it's going to be like, it's me, they don't really have the moment where Kufang is revealed. You know what I mean? Like they're missing. The movie's missing that element, and like, not that you need it, but they're just like, I don't know what happens. There's no big reveal.
Yeah,
no, they just skip straight to chasing him through the docks, right?
Yeah. And I will also add in here that Bruce Lee, huge step up in performance. Like whenever Jason was like stressing to me how Bruce Lee improved so much after like Goodbye Bruce Lee and stuff like that, because Goodbye Bruce Lee I was super disappointed with, and when I watched Iron Finger, I was like, okay, now I get it. Like, because Bruce Lee is so incredible in this movie. His fight choreography is so smooth. You can see he's way more confident with his choreography. He's got like a swagger with him, like whenever he's like walking around and when he's talking with people and stuff like that. And honestly, I think I didn't even really see this movie as Bruceploitation. I didn't think the mannerisms were really there. Bruce Lee just looks like Bruce Lee. It's just a movie with a guy who kind of looks like Bruce Lee. I didn't even really see this as Bruceploitation. And I love the fight between Bruce Lee and Bruce Long. The whole chase through the building is really great. And fighting on the roof, that's all fantastic. Yeah, Bruce and Iron Finger, one of my favorite movies on this set.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it falls into Bruceploitation because they couldn't get away from it, and the advertisers, just because they were in it, it just fell under the umbrella, And I accept that, but that's part of the cool part of the story is Bruce Lee trying to break away, and you can tell there's no thumb in the nose, there's no.
And isn't he even in the titles? He's in his actual name too, isn't he? He's in his Ho Shang Do.
Yeah, I think, but the problem is once it hits America, they just slapped Bruce Lee right back on the posters and all that, And I heard at one point a producer or something held a knife up to his throat and said to him, "You're going to play Bruce Lee. It's going to say Bruce Lee. You're not going to." And like that's what made him go do Chinese stuntman, because he felt so like. I mean, that's like the worst thing you could ever do. You'd think you'd go to the police, but I guess who knows? It could be a triad related thing or something, But
that's great.
Not to be a downer, but
Right. So we move on to disc 5 now, and the first one, the Challenge of the Tiger. I think you probably guess on this one.
Is it Two Tits Up by any chance?
Oh shit!
Holy nudity!
Two Tits Up.
Yes.
I mean, this for me put Bruce Lee firmly on the map. I was kind of not seeing the fuss, and I was like, I don't get it. And then I put on this one with him and Richard Harrison paired up, and I thought, this is just a good film. This is just a good, solid Hong Kong movie with great action, great stunts. There is a plot I can follow. It looks like it's made up, it's gone long, but who cares? The flow of it was. I would have personally taken out the topless tennis at the beginning, which I know you're going to think it's Leon. What, has he lost his mind? What the fuck is going on?
Are you feeling all right, man? What's going?
Yeah, no, but I think that slowed down the film for me. But that being said, I'll still give it 2 thumbs up. I do enjoy movies, so if they're going to be there, I'm going to enjoy them. That's far lose. And we've also got Conan's mum in this film.
Oh yes, yeah.
I'm like, wow. And I don't know what they were doing with her in this, because in some scenes she looked like a hag, and in other scenes she looks drop dead gorgeous. So I'm like, who's the different person on the makeup that day? I really don't know. But this, it was so fun. I felt the chemistry between the two guys. I can't wait to watch this one again. I just thought, brilliant film. And really did make me think Bruce Lee does have something special. Moving on to the Cameroon connection. Anybody want to hazard a guess on this one?
Is there 3 thumbs up? Because that's all you.
Cameroon connection, what it does. Yeah, it's a thumbs down. I mean, it's sad because I watched this one after the Challenge of the Tiger, and I was thinking, great, I'm on the Lay train, and what the hell happened? I mean, a big part of it for me, a huge part of it, is the sound in this film. Yeah, when they're fighting, the sound effects are so lame, and I find that it makes a massive, massive difference to a fight scene if you don't get the fight sounds right, and they didn't have the fight sounds right in this. So it really took me out of the movie. What I did like, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say this could have been one of the best. But it wasn't.
Wow.
Because the picture quality on this was like outstanding. Yeah. I think if this was a French film, they've really taken care of it. It felt like it had production value there. It just felt like it had no direction. Bruce Lee's acting in it was actually quite good. I thought, can we ruin shit on this stream? Are we going to assume people have seen these?
Oh yeah, it was lots of spoiler alerts. I'll say it at the beginning or something. Yeah.
Okay, if not,
when
just cut me out.
Yeah. Go for it.
I just thought Bruce Lee being a villain in this one, ultimately, he reminded me of like Jet Li's turn in Lethal Weapon 4. And I did like that, but this is the biggest missed opportunity for me, this film. I think with the right person in charge, they could have made something good out of it. And as it is, it was pretty lame, and I didn't go much on the car chase. I thought it looked like they were driving Miss Daisy around, it's the hell. So that's all I got to say on this. It's a very split disc, good and bad. And now hand over to Sean.
I only saw one of these. I saw Challenge of the Tiger, which I very much enjoyed. I love that Bruce Lee directed this one, and he knew what he was doing. He knew what he wanted in his film, and he went balls to the wall and just made a. It's very espionage-y. It's almost Bond-esque at times.
Yeah,
and I really appreciated that. It's got a very interesting vibe, as the kids say. And I'm a guy who likes sleaze. I like a bit of sleaze in my cinema, and I found this to be kind of I don't know, that the sleazy parts in it kind of added something. It added kind of a fun to it, which I really, really appreciated. I mean, yeah, it was over the top, and I agree. The tennis scene is kind of like superfluous to everything else. It's like, what the hell is going on? But I get why he did that. And also, I just like that Richard Harrison has a sex scene because he looks like a porn star. So I always appreciate that. But the overall vibe of the film is very fun, very enjoyable. I honestly think it's some of Bruce Lee's maybe best fight work. And of course, you got Huang Zhangli popping up. So who can complain about that? I mean, Huang Zhangli's a beast, and once again, he's on screen and shows why he's one of the best on-screen fighters. He's great in this film, and overall, I think this is one of the better ones on the set. Again, not quite my best, but I think it's just a good time, and that's what I appreciate about this film. It's one I will revisit. Maybe not top tier, but it's definitely one I can go, oh, you know what? I feel like a fun film, and I'll stick it on. So, yeah, I enjoyed this one. Thumbs up.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Over to Johnny.
This is my kind of version of what Fu said earlier on, but this is, for me, is the best and worst on the set. So I really love Challenge of the Tiger, and I hadn't seen it before. So there's also the kind of extra treat of going into a film for the first time.
Nice.
But I thought, like, Bruce Lee directing himself, his choreographer a lot faster, a lot harder hitting, and just really pretty effectively filmed. So I think, aside from his sort of abilities as a martial artist, showed himself as being a pretty capable director. I would like to see more of stuff that he'd done. I think there was a lot of fun to it. It didn't take itself too seriously. I thought Richard Harrison's probably one of my favorite Richard Harrison performances in this. He was sometimes a little bit sort of stilted in the Shaw Brothers stuff he did, like so in Boxers Rebellion and Marco Polo. He's just sort of there. Where he seemed to actually be having a good time here, and seemed to kind of just be sort of leaning hard into his sort of pretty useless as a sidekick, but he was almost like, it's like proto Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China in a way, where he's like maybe a more effective ladies' man than Kurt Russell was in Big Trouble, but he didn't really do much to help Bruce, really, particularly other than usually having to kind of be saved by him. There's maybe one or two times that he like did that last minute punch or wrapped his legs around someone's throat or something. But yeah, I think the double act between the two of them was actually pretty good fun, right? I think they played off each other really well, and whether that was kind of pushed into more through the dub, I don't know. But they actually had a degree of like kind of bromance chemistry between the two of them that I thought worked pretty well. Awesome seeing Huang Zhangli here. So yeah, all around, just I think maybe the film that I enjoyed the most from the set, actually.
Oh.
Cameron Connection, way at the other end of the spectrum. That was a tough sit, right? I found it like painful in places by how kind of like do a second take, man. Like with some of the shots that he did, I don't know if he was just short of film stock, but some of the performances from some of the other actors who are circling around our kind of main director, actor, writer, clearly a vanity project for Alphonse Benny. I thought it didn't really work. It didn't connect for me at all. I don't know exactly what they were trying to do with the story, particularly. I didn't really.
Dragon, did you catch but like you just mentioned, the people in the background looking at the cameras a lot? Did you catch that? That's like day one of film school, right?
It was really painful, but it did have one of the more entertaining special features for me. That there's a documentary on the life of Alphonse Benny that's better for me than the movie. So I much more enjoyed watching a bunch of people enthusiastically speak about his career and finding out what other movies he'd done. Don't know if I'll go out of my way to track any of them down, but I thought that was a really well put together, it's about 50-minute long or so dive into his sort of life and career. That was way more entertaining than the movie. But I doubt very much if I'll ever select Cameron Connection from that disc menu ever again, but I'll absolutely watch Challenge of the Tiger a bunch of times. I thought great, I have no problem with the nudity, but I thought weirdly we had better boobs in The Dragon Lives Again, like one of the King's wives, the younger one, I thought was maybe
she was tight, wasn't she? She was tight.
Yeah. So that would be like, so maybe not best boobs, but maybe gets the most boobs award. But yeah, that was me.
Right. Before we hand over to Caleb, I'd just like to say I haven't paid Johnny to back me up That's just pure chance. And Caleb, when you start, I think you should just cover Cameroon Connection this time round. I'd like a 15-minute monologue with no swear words in, please. Go.
I was actually, right as it was getting closer to me, I was thinking maybe I should just talk Cameroon first to get that out of the way, because I don't want to, I don't want to end my little piece right here. I don't want to end it on a down note. So I'm going to, I want to end in a positive way. So yeah, I'll probably just go ahead and talk Cameroon Connection first, and then we'll get to challenges.
Yeah.
Which Jason kept trying to convert me over to the Save It for the Stream tribe with this with this set. But whenever it came to Cameroon Connection, I could not hold it in. Like this little group chat that I have with Jason and Leon, I could not hold it in with Cameroon Connection.
He just came.
Yeah, I had to let it all out, and so yeah, anyway, here it goes. Cameroon Connection, the worst fucking thing on this set. I hated this goddamn movie so much. It was, I wanted to like it because it had Bruce Lee. I'm a huge fan of this guy. But the whole movie, I'm like, where is Bruce Lee? Oh, there he is. 30 seconds later, and he's gone. And they do that probably 4 times in this movie. I will give it one positive thing, and yes, you may be surprised to know that I do have a positive thing to say about this, and that is I like the twist at the end where Bruce Lee was the killer. Mm-hmm. I thought that was cool. I did not see that coming. I was like, okay, I didn't think that they were going to go down that road. I thought that was interesting. Even my wife thought that was interesting. She hated this movie too, and she thought it was interesting how Bruce Lee turned out to be the bad guy. She was thinking like, man, what if Bruce Lee himself was ever the bad guy? I don't know if Bruce Lee's ego would have allowed that, but it's an interesting idea. Yeah, I thought Bruce Lee being the villain was interesting. It was a cool thing I didn't see coming. Other than that, no, this movie sucks. It's just a bunch of farting around with the most uninteresting cast. I did not like any of these people. I guess they try to like get some sympathy out of the audience by having Alphonse Benny's character having his son get kidnapped and stuff like that. I didn't even care. Take him. I don't even. I didn't even care. What really drove me crazy was that whenever he realizes that his son has been kidnapped, Bruce Lee's character is like with him, and Benny's character is trying to, decide what he's going to do because his son's been kidnapped, and Bruce Lee asks him, he's like, hey, whatever you need.
Oh, I think we lost him.
Oh no. The director of Cameroon Connection got him.
Yeah, I think so.
Hang on 1 second. Oh, there we go. Hold on.
Yeah, lost it again.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I thought I had to bring you back in, but you're back.
Okay. Yeah,
you could say you lost your Cameroon connection.
Yeah. Yeah, lost my Cameroon connection. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what happened. It just blacked out again.
Good.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah. So, Benny's character, son gets kidnapped, and Bruce Lee tells him, hey, whatever you need, I'm here to help. Just tell me how I can help you. And Benny's saying, he says something like, you can't help me, or there's nothing you can do. And that drove me crazy, because whenever he's like, oh, there's nothing you can do to help me, like the hell there isn't. Like, let him do something. He's done absolutely nothing in this movie. Like, so I needed him to do something, but yeah, and then even like the finale where we see Bruce Lee throw down a little bit. It wasn't enough. It just was not enough.
Can I ask you real quick? Even though you liked the reveal where Bruce Lee was the villain or whatever, wouldn't you say it was pretty anticlimactic? Like, he just kind of pointed a gun like half dead or something. They seemed really like half asleep in that scene,
Yeah. I definitely didn't see it coming, but yeah, I do see what you're saying in that they didn't really go all out with the reveal. It wasn't like a big thing. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, Bruce Lee was like just pointing like so relaxed, like pointing his gun.
Yeah, but it was not fun. I did not like that movie. But again, I'm not going to sit here and say that that it shouldn't have been on this set. Put it on there. Because again, we're getting the best of both worlds with this genre. So anyway, yeah, that was not fun. I will never watch this movie again.
Let it go, brother. Let it go, brother.
Yeah, I'll never watch this again. I can't wait to never talk about it again either. Yeah, anyway, we're done with that. Challenge of the Tiger, loved it. Challenge of the Tiger was so much fun. Jason has wondered recently why Bruce Lee is my favorite. This is why. This movie is
okay.
Because,
cool.
Yeah, because when I watched this movie, I was thinking this movie should not work. Everything about this movie should not work because it's just the plot is just weird. They're trying to get the Krabby Patty formula or whatever it is, and and then there's just like all the really weird nudity and stuff like that. Richard Harrison's character, I didn't really like him. He was just strange, But Bruce Lee, I said this to Leon and Jason too, is that Bruce Lee is like the shining beacon of hope in this movie. Anytime he is on screen fighting, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so fun. He's got a crazy intensity with him. This movie is just why I love Bruce Lee so much, because anytime he's on there fighting, he is kicking so much ass. He's so fast and so powerful. Even when he fights the bull, like even I love that. Like I love when he gets in the bull ring with the bull, and I love he just like takes his shirt off and he's like gets in that pose. He's like getting ready to throw down with this bull, which is just insane. And Huang Zhongli is a great addition. I love him as the villain. I love whenever Bolo fails his mission and then Bolo returns to the base or whatever, and Huang Zhongli is there and he says you do realize what the penalty is for failure, right? Like it's death, And so I love that. I love Huang Zhongli and Bruce Lee's fight at the very end. That's a lot of fun. I do like this one bit with Richard Harrison where Bruce Lee's fighting everyone. Richard Harrison's just getting his ass kicked, and I love how Richard Harrison pointed out or something like he's like telling Bruce Lee he's not going to walk in front of him because he keeps getting beat up, so he's not going to walk in front of him. And so Bruce Lee's like, okay, fine, I'll go ahead. I'll take point. And then so they start walking, and then even though Richard Harrison is behind him, some people just come in and attack him. Like Bruce Lee doesn't even get hit. I love that. That was so funny. It was a very funny little piece right there. But yeah, Challenge of the Tiger was a lot of fun, and that that movie is why I love Bruce Lee so much.
Cool.
Excellent. Right, Jace, just before we go back to you, I'd like to ask a little favor. I forgot to mention the French girl in the bath and Cameroon connection. So if you could give her a little mention when you get to that, I'd be grateful.
For sure. Yeah, so Challenge of the Tiger, I loved it. I hadn't seen that one before, and I just thought, a lot of echoing what you guys said. I think this is how much I love Bruce Lee when he separates from Bruceploitation. This is Bruce Lee separating away from Bruceploitation, and his directing is solid. And Bruce Lee, like if you watch Bruce's Deadly Fingers, I really like that, but his acting is so primitive and he's just like wooden in it. And this, he's just smiling, and him and Richard are getting along great. And like their chemistry is a mixture of like, why do they have chemistry? And it's good. Like it doesn't really make sense. They like everyone will be dying. They're just cracking jokes the whole movie. It's like a separate comedy. It's not lining up with like what's going on, But yeah, so I think like it works as a really funny buddy movie. The two of them, Bruce Lee, I'm trying to see what else I wrote here. His acting's better, like I said. The nudity is so funny because they try to set it up like a James Bond thing, and you could just have like 20 seconds of it, but man, do they really need to drive home that this guy has like the most ridiculous life like ever,
He's kind of channeling Roger Moore a bit, isn't he?
Yeah, times a million. And so I love that one. Bruce Lee's fighting is phenomenal, like you guys have said, and it was really good. It was really good, and I just can't believe it is kind of like they got away from Bruceploitation but went to full exploitation. The nudity, I didn't mind like the amount of it because it made it just, that would be something in a grindhouse. Everyone would be just cracking up like this is still going on. Like some girl just walks and you can tell they just opened her top for no reason, like by the tennis courts, like, just like, okay, walk towards me just to, You know? And then Cameroon Connection, yeah, it was rough. It was a funny inside joke with Caleb and stuff, but I don't really get what the point is. It doesn't make sense.
Watch the special feature. That at least puts it in context, because I think it's maybe too unfair of me to dismiss it as a vanity project, but I think the whole deal for Alphonse Benny was to try and kind of go back to Cameroon and try and actually become an action star over there, because all the other movies he made were in France, right? And so he took over his French crew and went back to Cameroon to really try and give them an action cinema industry, right? And maybe it wasn't successful, but I think that's why I say that 50 minutes kind of not really making of, but that dive into his career, really interesting, and actually made me a little bit more forgiving of the film. Still not going to make me go back to it again, but anyway, sorry. On you go.
No, that helps me though, because I couldn't. Yeah, I mean, Alphonse, like I could see his potential. He has the looks to be an actor, but he just seemed so deadpan the whole movie. The plot is so bad. Like anyone knows, like if you watch a Shogasugi movie, they'll just kill his whole family. They make him need to go into this revenge mode. This is like some woman was killed, and if he was going crazy over that, you'd be like, why does he care so much? But he just seemed half asleep to me the whole movie, just walking around. And then Bruce Lee seemed interjected, and he seemed like it didn't make sense, like why he was in the movie in a way. And I thought the ending, like I said, is just a cool reveal, but the way they revealed it was just didn't give me much of a twist. It was like, wait, how? I don't know. I was lost at that part, kind of, like. And then what else? Yeah, it was just a rough one, but I think it looked cool to see Cameroon. Like Dragon said, it's filmed really well, or maybe Leon said that it's filmed real good, but I just feel that it just didn't really make sense why, like his purpose was lost to me. So why would the audience care, Yeah. And then Leon liked the French girl. Got to get that in. So. All right. So Caleb, did you want to run through this?
Yeah. So my turn, I guess. Anyway, I'm glad that I got this part of the set. But also a little disappointed with a couple of them. But anyway, yeah, we'll move on to disc 6. Yeah, so disc 6 we've got Super Dragon and we've got The Dragon Lives. I hated both of these movies. I did not like either of these. I don't even know which one to start on, because I really didn't like either of them. I mean, okay, I'll start with Super Dragon. So Super Dragon, Jason. Oh, where'd Leon go? And I'll go ahead and talk Super Dragon first, because Dragon Lives was kind of interesting. Super Dragon, what is up with Bruce Lee's hair in that movie? Like he's got this.
I can answer. What it was is when they watched the movie at the end, they thought that there was such little action. This is from the Clones cast, I believe. They brought him back to do some fight scenes, but I guess he had cut his hair so different than the other things, the other parts of the movie. So they had to just stick a wig on him, I think.
Yeah. I feel like that's a very common thing that happens in the movie industry. They film a movie, then they got to go back and do something, but the actor looks so different now that they gotta do something really stupid, like put on a wig or some makeup or whatever to go back and reshoot. But anyway, the fight choreography in Super Dragon is not good. But, again, I was prepared for most of this because Jason had given me, kind of the rundown of this movie and where Bruce Lee was in his career at that point. Because that first fight scene where he fights the two guys after doing the newspaper run, he fights those two guys. Oh. There's a lot of just really slow, clunky choreography, while the other guy's just kind of standing back there, just waiting to run in. And they always joke in these kinds of movies about how they're the heroes fighting a large group, but they run in there one at a time. This movie, or this fight scene in particular, does not do them any favors right there, because you're just proving their point right there. And then the biggest issue I had with this one was the amount of focus they put on the I'll say alleged affair with Bruce Lee and Betty Ting. I don't take sides in that whole thing. I don't know the story. I don't know what happened, but I do not like how much time they devoted to that. I don't think they made Bruce Lee very likable in this movie either. Like when it came to that whole aspect, because he's got his wife, but then there's Betty Ting on the side, and then he asks his wife for a divorce when she comes back and stuff like that. It was also kind of strange how Bruce Lee talks so much in the film, like talks so much about how much he hates America. Like his like there are like several scenes where he's like I hate it here. This place is so terrible. I want to go back to Hong Kong. And then Linda is like, okay, I won't stop you. Go ahead.
That was so odd. Like how she didn't care about anything. Their chemistry. I'll say more in mine, but that was so odd. That was so odd.
They really hammered in the whole thing about how much Bruce hates America and wants to go back to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is his home. The Hong Kong people are his people. That sort of thing. I did not like that. They didn't make Bruce very likable, and I didn't like all the time they devoted to the whole affair and everything like that. It just was just not a really great movie. I don't think it holds up. It didn't, and I'm not saying that we should paint Bruce Lee in like a good light, because Bruce Lee was just a man, and but it doesn't. I don't think it just did a really good job of kind of exploring Bruce Lee as a person or anything like that. So yeah, Super Dragon was disappointing. Dragon Lives, also disappointing, but I had high hopes for it at first. Like whenever Dragon Lives started, I was like, okay, this movie might actually be a lot of fun, because we get the fight in the opening where he's we got all the different styles. We got the boxer, we got the karate guy, we got the wrestler, sort of thing. We got all that going on. Bruce Lee jumps in there and he fights the boxer. I thought that was great. It was good fun, but then like halfway through the movie, they go back to the whole affair thing with Betty Ting. And I told Jason this last night. Again, my wife was watching these movies with me. When we finished Super Dragon and then started Dragon Lives, my wife was like, didn't we just watch this?
Yeah.
They focus so much on that. And this movie, Dragon Lives, is just crazy. And I don't mean that as in like a fun crazy, or everybody says that about certain movies. It's, oh, this movie is insane, it's bonkers, whatever. This movie is straight up crazy. Like, it is insane. Bruce in this movie is a crazy person. This guy is nuts. Like all the time that he's in there training, and Lyndon bang on her, Bruce, come out of the training room, and you're crazy. Like, we need to call his master. Like, get him over here. He's losing his mind. And then the ending. Oh my God, I hated that ending. The ending was so weird, really long. It's sex scene with earthquakes and thunder and lightning and trees breaking and like limbs falling down and glass and plates breaking and all of that. And then that really maniacal laugh with Bruce Lee at the end, and then it cuts back to the tournament at the beginning, and you just kind of get that really weird, Bruce, like at the end. Yeah, that movie scared me a little bit.
That's like the last thing. It says the end, and you hear going, Bruce, Bruce, Bruce. Did you catch that? Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Disappointing. I did not really like either of these movies, and Dragon Lives was a letdown. So yeah. That's all I have to say about that one.
Cool.
Yeah, Leon, take it away.
Okay, so can anybody guess what I'm going to give for Super Dragon?
I'm going to say thumbs down.
I imagine a thumbs down. Oh, maybe in the middle. Maybe I'll say in the middle.
I think thumbs down.
Oh, okay, thumbs up. Wow.
Thumbs up.
I want you guys to promise to still be friends with me after this list.
Always.
You're unpredictable, right. Leon. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, again, I like films that give stories. I do like biopics. And when it comes to Bruce Lee biopics, there's been so many throughout the ages. We have Dragon with Jason Scott Lee, Birth of the Dragon, the third thing, which I absolutely love. So going back to some of these early entries, it's kind of interesting for me because they said that they marketed these films mainly for like a US audience. Now, the angle they're coming at, to me, it feels more like it's catered towards a Chinese audience with, not like in The Foreigners, portraying Bruce with his Chinese girlfriend rather than his wife. So when I remember when I was at school, everybody had like a different Bruce Lee theory, a different myth about him, a different way he died, a different way he lived his life, a different way he trained. And you can just, I get the vibe that everybody's dad was hiring out these films at the video shop, and then they'd be telling their son like they were the Bruce Lee expert. And then I kind of piecing it together and thinking, that's why my mate thought this, or that's why my friend thought that.
Oh, interesting.
So, yeah, it really was of an interest to me, this. And with fight scenes in biopics, I'm a little bit more forgiving because we're not going into fantasy kung fu land. It's supposed to be portraying real life. And because the fight scenes are a little bit shorter, I thought that could be more of a real situation. And although he's nowhere near the level he is later on, I grant you that. But what is there works for me in the context of this movie. I do like that they go into the Betty Ting Pei stuff. I know it's really controversial, but I'd like to see what was in people's minds back then. And, you know, this was a way of exploring what people thought. And it's crazy to think now that all these theories were out there and that people gave credibility to a lot of it all. But also to think that Bruce Lee came from this to go to where we've already seen him go. I just find it really interesting. I do like a biopic, even a bad biopic. I just like to see different people's takes on Bruce Lee because I love Bruce Lee and I want to see what everybody was thinking. So this is a real curioso for me. And yeah, I quite enjoyed it. It's not the best film in the box, not by a long way, but I do think Bruce Lee's charm and charisma shines through a little bit for me in this one. As for the other one, The Dragon Lives, any thoughts on that one?
Thumbs down
What
on that
I
one.
might put?
You
I
already
think I got a thumbs up too, you sadist.
Yeah, you accidentally showed Dragon Lives
We did.
earlier.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, thumbs up. Oh, geez. All right.
It's a thumbs
Oh,
up.
wow, nice one.
I really enjoyed this one.
I thought you loved me, man.
I'm sorry, Caleb. I'm sorry to do this.
Leon's a certified bisexual too, Sean.
Yeah,
I'm very much a bisexual. I love this guy, and I think a lot of it is to do with the Enter the Clones documentary.
Yeah,
I really felt like I bonded with him on that, and you know, I mentioned it when I interviewed David Gregory. Yeah, that it seemed like these guys have been through so much and that their stories were so interesting, particularly Bruce Lee to me. I felt like he'd been dealt a harsh hand, and I felt really sad for him that a big part of his life he was doing something he didn't really want to do. And again, so looking at him having to portray Bruce as Bruce in these films, I find it really, really interesting. I think he did, you know, quite an admirable job. I don't think there's, for me, none of the other clones feel as Bruce as what Bruce Lee does. And so he gets the thumbs up for that. I think his performance is good. The martial arts isn't the best, clearly, but I do enjoy the different takes on it. And again, I could turn to this any day. I really enjoy these things. And yeah, that's all I've got to say. Please don't hate me for it, guys. I just enjoy it.
Awesome.
No,
I like it.
Never did, but that was a wonderful way of finding a silver lining.
Yeah.
And I didn't see, right? So hats off to you for doing
That was really well put. That was awesome.
Yeah, I definitely admire what you're saying. I really do. I get it. And you know, in my opinions on the movie aside, you know, I love Bruce Lee too. Like, he's not my favorite Bruce Lee, he's still my favorite, but I love Bruce Lee. I don't think these movies are indicative of him in any way. I still think he is fantastic. Like, he was not my issue with these movies, and I said that to Jason. You know, like, even whenever it came to like Super Dragon and Dragon Lives, my problem with these was not Bruce Lee. It wasn't him. Like, it was everything else. I thought Bruce Lee was great, but yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying for sure.
I'm just going to go out there and say this: Bruce Lee is my comfort blanket.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I'm going to kind of talk about these two together because I watched them back to back and they're blending in my mind, you know, a bit. Super Dragon. It's cool. Is like the first Bruceploitation film, more or less. and to see Bruce Lee come on the scene, to see what he became. It's not. I want to see like the earlier periods. The fighting is very plotting. Not even just in the fighting, like the directors, you could see the feet missing the face like this much, and it's like, wow, anyone knows, put the guy's head, the back of the head, I don't know. It's a good example of, like I said, his fighting, like how it improved so much over the years. And then, and like I said, they're confused. I'm getting confused with the two of them because they blend a lot in my mind. Dragon Lives and Super Dragon. Dragon Lives. The separation for me is the mustache, which I thought was an interesting touch. I don't know. Did Bruce Lee ever have a mustache?
Yeah, beard. He definitely had a beard.
Yeah, no, okay, there are pictures of him. There are definitely pictures of him out there where he had like a mustache or a beard or something like that. But I do think it was kind of strange too how he's like filming movies with a mustache, because that never happened as far as I know.
Right. So it was kind of like
Mr. Fury? Clearly he had a mustache.
And the Long Beach tournament was just brutal. And I thought it was funny in that one. They were trying to show some connection between him and this police officer. And maybe there was supposed to be a language barrier if you watch the Chinese version. But boy, did they have a strange relationship. They'd see each other and they were like, oh, like they were just doing the oddest things together. And I think the cop was spying on him when he was doing Kung Fu or something earlier. It was a very strange relationship. But yeah, I thought that was a little odd, but it kind of worked. And the ending, like Caleb said, was just bonkers. It was so strange. They're trying to play into the idea of the curse maybe of Bruce Lee and how he lost his mind, and his obsession with the Kung Fu is why, like how on the John Ben documentary where they said when he saw him, he was so thin. So like, I think maybe this is playing into the later period of his life where he's fighting these robot machines, and Bruce Exploitation loves to get these machines that he fights in these. You'll see as you go along.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was okay. I thought it was decent. I like it historically to see Bruce Lee's trajectory, but as two films, I would not show anyone these for Bruce Exploitation, only in the context the show. Like if you show Rocky, or if you show, I don't know if you guys ever seen Italian Stallion, when Sylvester Stallone was doing like almost softcore porn before Rocky. I'm not going to say it's not that odd of a jump, but it's kind of like that type of thing. It's like if you see Arnold in Hercules in New York, that is this for Arnold. And then Conan the Barbarian would be like Fist of Fury 2, one of Sean's favorite, Fist of Fury 3, and Dynamo and that. And like, and to anyone out there who's not seen those ones, just know that this is Bruce and the Iron Finger is a good example of where it goes with Bruce Lee, But yeah, that's my take on them. I think they're decent, better historically as an experience. I'm not sure what story they're trying to tell of Bruce Lee. They make him unlikable a lot in the first one. The second one, they make him seem crazy. But I kind of like that to show different ends of the myth. They're playing into the myth. They're playing into the myth of him being crazy and the myth of, I guess, this being a womanizer, which they really drove home in Dragon Lives Again, the third leg. But yeah, that's my take on it.
All right. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, to me, this is the most throwaway disc in that it's the disc that I will probably never revisit. I think others have, a mix of films, but mostly a film that I'll go back to. But this one, not really. Now, with that said, I didn't mind Super Dragon, actually. I found it to be middling. Definitely not amazing, but middling. I like the biopic kind of angle that these go for. And I kind of like that they go negative rather than positive. Reason being, I've always had like some kind of Kung Fu Cinema account on the internet, whether it was Facebook, Tumblr, now Instagram. And I've always faced off against people that are just like, I will never hear a negative word against Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is the perfect human. He's always been Superman. He's just the most perfect example of a man. And I like where they actually dig into the fact that he wasn't that. Granted, they go too hard and they dwell on that too much. But I do like that. I do like when a biopic actually kind of reveals the more, I don't like to say negative, but like the darker parts of people's lives.
Humanizing.
Yeah, exactly. It humanizes them. We're all, no one's perfect. We all have issues in our lives. I kind of like that. They hit it over the head a little too hard, granted, but I didn't mind that too much. The fights I've forgotten. These two films blend together, like Jason said. I have no idea which is which. I had to look at my Letterboxd account to go, okay, I kind of liked Super Dragon. I didn't like the other one. And I can't tell you why. I've got no idea why.
I do want to say another peak Bruce exploitation moment is that yard fight with two samurais showing up and his wife hands him nunchucks.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on? Why are there samurais? I mean, that cracked me up.
I do want to say real quick that scene that you just talked about, Jason, that scene made my wife go, we should start carrying a pair of nunchucks in the car.
Exactly.
Because she just pulled a pair out of the car and tossed it to him. So.
Just not a big fan of this disc in general. Super Dragon, it's fine. I won't rewatch it. I can't say I loved it. It's one of those films that I watched, and at the end of it, I was just like, okay, that was a film. Fair enough. And in 2 weeks, give me 2 weeks, and I'll forget everything about it, and I'll come back and go, did I actually watch that? So yeah, nothing really impressive about this disc. They could have taken it off this set, and it wouldn't really have bothered me at all. But I'm kind of glad that they put it here, because there are those biopic films about Bruce Lee, and there are old school ones, not just Dragon, the Bruce Lee story, not just Birth of Dragon. There are actually old school ones featuring Bruceploitation actors. So I like that they're giving you the full smorgasbord of what Bruceploitation represents. I appreciate that, but are those films good? No, it's not a big fan of these ones.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick. These movies, and I know, Sean, if you've seen Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I don't know if any of you other guys have seen it. Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth is what they're trying to do with these movies. It's like the peak version of this. So Bruce Lee had found his footing, and the directors, it all comes together. So if you guys watch Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, you'll see, wow, that's what these movies were leading up to. It's like the great version of that.
Yeah, Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth is like top tier Bruceploitation. It's
usually everyone's
fantastic.
favorite. Usually a lot of people's favorite Bruceploitation movie.
Yep. Yeah. It's good stuff. It features Ip Man's real life son.
Yeah, in the opening. Yeah.
Ip Chun. Yeah.
Ip Ching?
Is it Ip Chun or Ip Ching?
I'm not
There's
sure.
two in there, Ip Chung and Ip Ching.
I think it's Ip Chun, because I believe Ip Ching died, but I think it might be Ip Chun though.
Caleb's a good, you know, a lot of Ip Man stuff.
Not a whole lot.
I just mean, I've only seen the first one. I know you've watched a lot of them.
Oh, I've seen all 4 movies a plethora of times. So
yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I will say I haven't seen The Man, the Myth, so I can't say, but I mean, so far I feel like the Bruceploitation biopics, I feel like those might be kind of the low point of this genre. But again, I don't know. I haven't seen Man, the Myth. I need to see that too, to kind of actually have a better observation of it. But
yeah, I think that'll change your tune. It's weird they finally figured it out, and it's like makes it almost seem more exciting. Not that Bruce's life, but these ones seem downtrodden to me, and kind of like you're not sure why they're making Bruce seem this way. This makes Bruce seem just like badass,
Yeah, definitely. All right, moving on. Dragon. What do you think about this disc?
I'm gonna have to echo what Fu said. I think this, for me, easily the weakest disc on the whole set. A question that I never thought I'd find myself asking was, what would it be like if the Hallmark Channel made a Kung Fu movie? And now I've had it answered twice, and it's not good. Both of these were just straight up melodramas. I'm not traditionally a huge fan of biopics in general. I'd rather see a well-made, well put together documentary. It kind of that scratches that same itch for me. I really do like Bruce Lee a lot. These are not kind of two of the movies of him. You can sort of tell he's very uncomfortable, and this kind of matches what he says in the documentary perfectly. These are the movies he's talking about when he's saying that he kind of doesn't want to sort of step into his shoes and try and be him, right? And it felt painful at times to me. And I think they took weird liberties with the story, kind of searching for some sort of positives. interesting that The Dragon Lives spanned his entire life to death. So they kind of went from literally when he was a kid right the way through and tried to kind of hit the main beats in a really weird way, almost like you told a drunk guy what happened in Bruce Lee's life, and then 2 weeks later he recounted that information to someone else. It's kind of like a hazy version of the truth. It's very strange. And another one.
Could I jump in quickly with something that I just thought of there? I would have thought, to me personally, that playing somebody in a biopic isn't as bad as trying to play that person and pretend that you're that person doing a different film. Because many people do biopics, like, you know, you've had the Queen, the Elton John, all that stuff, and I don't think any actors that, you know, play somebody else generally have a hang up. But when they're asked to be somebody else, I think that's a different kettle of fish.
But like the kind of the quality difference between this and Dynamo, and in Dynamo he does kind of basically have to sort of tread quite close to that territory again, but in such a different, fresher, more interesting way. I just kind of found both of these really overly melodramatic and pretty tough sits. As with the Cameron Connection, special features way more interesting for me than the movie, right? And I think the actress who played Linda Lee in The Dragon Lives, I think Karen White Steadman, she's got an interview. That was great, right? She was really interesting, really engaging, and hearing about how she kind of got involved in the project and her speaking about Bruce Lee was really, really cool to hear. So I really enjoyed that. That's the thing that made that disc interesting for me. And I think if I do go back to it again, it'll be to listen to the commentaries, because I think she's on the audio commentary and I could see myself, like, I found her so engaging that I would go back and suffer through that movie again just to check through the audio commentary, because I think that would be a much more enjoyable experience than having to like deal with the bad plotting. And again, 90 minutes felt like 4 hours going through this.
Versus the Linda in I'm sorry, the names. The Dragon Lives. What's the first one? I'm getting confused.
Super Dragon.
Yeah,
Super Dragon. Oh my God, that's the worst Linda ever. And like, she seems like the worst chemistry, and like, it's just bad.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't, again, I just don't really like how they told the stories with those. I think, like Sean was saying, it's better to know everything about that person instead of thinking nothing but positive things about them, or thinking nothing but negative things about them. And whenever I say I feel like they just kind of painted Bruce in too negative a light, I simply mean that I don't think they explored every aspect of him. It was either trying to make him look too good or make him look too bad. It was just like one or the other. There was no middle ground.
Right.
So yeah.
And coupled with Bruce Lee being like so green on the scene.
Yeah.
Too.
Like him is like still being inexperienced and clearly not wanting to do any of this.
Right.
Just wasn't a very fun experience. However, moving on, that we covered everybody, right? Before I move on. Okay, all right, cool. However, moving on, I'm glad I got stuck with this disc, because now disc 7, we get to talk about The Dragon, the Hero, my favorite movie on this set. I absolutely loved The Dragon, the Hero. It was so much fun. Like whenever I watched this movie, as soon as it started, like we get that great opening with the rock strike fist opening, and then we just get fight after fight after fight after fight, and I was like, this is it. This is what I was looking for. This is a kung fu movie. This is just classic shapes kung fu. This is just incredible. I love The Dragon, the Hero. And then Dragon Lee in the movie is just an added bonus. He is great in this movie. I love seeing him like just kind of like do the Bruce Lee mannerisms thing. The whole thing with the thumb chucks, that is rectified in this, because in Clones of Bruce Lee, we get to see a thumb chuck sequence, but he just kind of pulls it out, does a quick thing, and then throws it away. Like, what was that? But here, he breaks out 2 of them, and he's actually fighting with them. It's just incredible. Philip Coe, love that guy in this movie. He is so great, so over the top. I forget the actor who was in the wheelchair, the cannibal. I can't remember the actor's name.
Oh yeah. I can't remember, but
yeah. He's fun. Sure. He's a lot of fun. John Liu, his kicks are amazing. Like, I love his boot work in this movie. He is so much fun. I love seeing Bolo, like, with the, you know, the whole ape, you know, like kung fu style he had going on. That was so much fun. Yeah, just, oh man, Dragon the Hero was great. I absolutely love that movie. It's my favorite movie on the set. It was funny because, like, early before I got on here, my wife asked me, she said, "Are y'all going to talk best or worst?" I said, "I don't know, and I don't really know what I would say is my favorite film. My least favorite is Cameroon Connection, obviously.
Yeah.
On here, but
maybe at the end,
sorry,
maybe Tim will do. I was just saying we could do a favorite and second worst because Cameroon is going to be the worst for everyone.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, but I told her, I said, I don't really know what I would say is my favorite movie on this set, but then whenever. Excuse me, before we got on here and I was just kind of running through the special features that I didn't catch up on, just getting caught up on everything. While I was doing that, I was thinking more about it, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is my favorite, The Dragon the Hero. I love this movie. It is so much fun. You know, and it's cool seeing one of my favorite things that absolutely killed me was when Tino Wong is fighting the cannibal guy, and then he's like trying to crawl away, and then he runs into Dragon Lee, and then the camera's like on Dragon Lee's face, and he does like the wah! Like, I love that so much. It absolutely slayed me. It was so great. I love The Dragon the Hero. Rage of the Dragon, on the other hand, it was fine. It was okay. I think they probably could have done a better job of the choreography. It seems a little sloppy. And then the plot, I had a hard time following. Like, I don't know. Like, because Rage of the Dragon kind of started off with like grave robbing and like, I need you to appraise this antique for me. But then there's, oh, your dad's dead. I think he's just been gone for several days. I don't really know where he is. The movie was just kind of hard to follow. But I mean, when the fighting did happen, it was fine. It was decent. Carter Wong is cool. I love Carter Wong. Big fan of that guy. And I will say, you know, I'm sure you guys caught on to this as well. But, you know, the whole thing with Carter Wong having an issue with like bright lights or the sun or whatever, little Game of Death reference right there, you know, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar having that same issue.
But didn't the sunglasses seem like out of place a little bit for the time period? To me, they seem like not period, you know?
It didn't match anything.
Don't know what you're on about.
But it was but I mean, Rage of the Dragon was fine. I would say that's kind of mid-tier. Definitely mid-tier, but you know, it's okay because I loved the Dragon the Hero so much. I didn't even really care if the Rage of the Dragon wasn't that good. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. I think Dragon Hero is the best movie on the whole set. May not be the best disc, you know. I think like that's kind of up for debate, but I think Dragon Hero is definitely the best movie on here. So yeah, Leon, let's hear it.
Okay. Anybody want to hazard a guess?
I don't know. You're too unpredictable, man.
Yeah,
it might be one of these ones again for you.
I feel like I don't. Okay. Yes.
Who doesn't love a bit of old school kung fu, eh? And having John Liu in there. I'm a massive John Liu fan. If any of you have seen me and Shaz harp on about him in like New York Ninja and, you know, some of those other Vinegar Syndrome titles, I really do love him. And for me, it is 100% John Liu's film. Dragon Lee in this is kind of relegated to fighting the jokes or sort of Dean Shecker-like, if you like.
Yeah.
The Thumb Chucks, I know there's a lot of fans of it. I just think that utter nonsense, and I just don't get it. Somebody will grab that and just rip your thumb off, your thumb. I'm like, what the hell is that? It's going to have no impact, and it's going to put you in a lot of danger. So every time I see those thumb chucks, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, here we go again. So I can't stand the thumb chucks. And I'm not really that sold on Dragon Lee yet. I mean, he's a fine physical specimen. It looks incredible.
Crazy.
He's just not, he doesn't set me on fire. I'm not really convinced. But John Liu in this, yeah, he really sold me on the film. I did enjoy it. And if I think if he was paired off with Bruce Lee instead of Dragon Lee, I think it might have been a 2 thumbs up again.
Mm.
And as for the other one, Rage of the Dragon, having said that, can anybody guess what I have for that one?
I'm gonna say middling, like
thumbs down. Yeah, thumbs down.
Yeah. You tried, Caleb. You tried.
Yeah.
Didn't do any. This it just didn't do much for me. Rage of the Dragon Tour for it was very lackluster. Like all you guys, seen bunches, hundreds of kung fu movies, and this one just had nothing in it to stand out from the crowd for me. That's all I got to say. I mean, Kurt Huang was in there, but he wasn't in there enough for me, and it wasn't one of his better performances. You know, he was just kind of ho hum, and yeah, I was disappointed. I thought Rage of the Dragon might have been the one that would have put me on Dragon Lee, but it didn't do anything for me. Sorry, chaps.
Yeah, did you notice the sound effects in Rage of the Dragon? By the way, did you catch on to those?
Yeah, they kind of.
That was that was overkill. That was overkill.
Yeah, I was like, what is all that? Like I ever like.
And I think I'm a bit of a disadvantage as well on the whole set. Whereas I don't know if any of you are aware, but I really am a subtitle guy.
Oh, okay.
That's how I like to watch my films.
Okay.
Dubbing, I have to like put matchsticks in my eyes. There's something about dubbing that sends me asleep. I'm sat there on the sofa going.
Oh,
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, until it gets to the action, the voices on the dub, because you've heard them like a billion times before.
Yeah,
so it's like a comfort thing. I just thought, no, I'm watching the film. So I really struggle with dubbing, and I think some of my scores may have gone up if I'd had a subtitle, Cantonese subtitle version, because I'm not a fan of dubbing. But yeah, and I'm the odd one out there, but that's just the way it is for me.
Yeah.
Jason.
Yeah, so Dragon the Hero, I felt this one, like you said, Leon, is just such an old school kung fu movie. It gave that vibe, and the box set needed that in a few spots. And it being old school like that, Philip Ko was so menacing. And I think kung fu movies, if you were making a kung fu movie, 9 times out of 10, if you make it about kung fu, I feel like that's a great way to go. And this, like, you're so invested in if Philip Ko can beat their kung fu and their training. I think that's why we love Shaw Brothers so much, because it's often about kung fu, especially like the late 70s ones. And and I think that would have saved a lot of the other movies if they had the guy in Cameroon Connection studying kung fu and if they just threw that in, you'd be more invested. When you bring the kung fu into the kung fu movie, it you can't fail. So I love that it was about kung fu itself. Dragon Lee, he seemed like an afterthought in this one, and they did say they just brought him in because he was like a new sensation from Korea, and I guess this was his first Hong Kong movie. And like Leon was saying, I love pumping iron and bodybuilding. I think my take on him is he might give Lo Mang and Bruce Lee like a run for the money on his physique. I mean, his physique is just nuts, crazy physique.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much, I loved it. I love the ending because you wanted to see if they could take out Philip Ko, and he was like a madman by the end. I thought that was really cool. And for Rage of the Dragon, I liked it because it like just gave me that old school feel. I like the setting, like, me and Leon love Conan the Barbarian, and Thulsa Doom, that cave at the end, that cave or whatever was up on that hill. I like the setting, and their village was down here. They had the cave up top. In the whole movie, like even when Dragon Lee was defeating the guy in the water, you could feel like I don't know if they had found his father yet, but there was something about the setting that worked for me,
Okay.
Yeah, because I could feel like it was strange that it was that scary thing they kept going to, and his dad was there dead, and he was, it worked for me. But the sunglasses were strange, and the sound effects, I think, brought it down a bit. That was odd. So I think Dragon Lee, I still have films of his, obviously, like I haven't seen too many. I'm interested now in Dragon Lee. I think the good part of Rage of the Dragon is that's his movie where he's not thumbing his nose and doing the cat calls. The laser sounds were odd, but I saw the potential in this one where Dragon Lee separated from the character and said, wow, this guy might have some substance there. That's what I gathered from it. And I want to see if we can get some where his acting, I mean, I think you so used to him being that like Sonic the Hedgehog guy, like that craziness that when he tries to act, it's like, whoa, he's actually talking here. It's kind of weird. Like when he slows down, and this is the movie where he slowed down and you see him branch out. So to see him go away from Bruceploitation, that's why I like this movie for me, Rage. But separate from Leon, I grew up watching the dubs, and like World Northern was like those versions. So that guy that does the Godzilla dubs, Ted, I guess his name, and the main guy that does all these dubs on all these movies. When I hear that, it's like a warm blanket for me. So I do prefer the English dubs. Like I went through a trajectory where English dubs are my favorite. Then when the Celestial came along, I was like, oh, original language is the best. But now when I hear the English dub, it kind of just takes me back home away, that feeling, But I will say, when I talked about that Ted guy, when they in Challenge of the Tiger, they had Richard Harrison had that famous Master Killer Ted voice, and they gave Bruce Lee the other one. I think that should have been swapped. That was odd to have that classic dub voice on Richard Harrison, But yeah, that's my take on the Dragon Lee disc.
Yeah, I think Dragon the Hero, that one made me a Dragon Lee fan right there, because beforehand I knew who he was, but I was like, I don't really know how I feel about him. But this one I was like, okay, he's actually pretty cool. I like him. He definitely looks the most like Bruce Lee, I think, because I think from certain angles it is a spitting image. Like he looks just like Bruce from certain angles. Like when his head is turned a certain way or something like that.
When his head's down and he looks up. Yeah,
it looks just like Bruce.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one definitely, Dragon the Hero definitely made me a fan of Dragon Lee. But yeah, moving on to Sean, let's hear what you have to say on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I eat this shit for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I mean, the Dragon Hero is what I'm looking for in a kung fu film. I'm a big fan of Dragon Lee. I implore you all to watch his Korean stuff. Martial Monks of Shaolin Temple. Golden Dragon, Silver Snake. Watch some of his Korean stuff where he does like old school shapes. Really, really good. A lot of fun. This just did it for me. I mean, it's got everything I want. I won't harp on this too much, but it's just a classic old school kung fu film. The fights are decent. Philip Ko pops up. I mean, I've got no complaints about it. I think it was my second favorite in the set. But that's just because I'm a huge old school fan, and I think everyone has covered what I love about it. Just a good time. Just a good time. Classic kung fu is what I'm looking for. Rage of the Dragon can fuck right off. That film, I hated this film. It was insane. It was weird. It was see, the thing with this film, it was insane and weird, which is kind of interesting, but it was so fucking boring. It was unbelievably boring. I just couldn't handle it. I found it very, very boring. I was kind of sad that Dragon Lee was in it because I like him. I think he's great. I think he's got a lot of skill, but in this one he's just nothing special. The sound effects are so ridiculous that it's just it almost he's doing like Mantis style. And I like Mantis. I like Mantis Fist. It's one of my favorite styles of kung fu, actually. But it just ruins it. It's terrible. So didn't love Rage of the Dragon at all. It was probably my second least favorite on this entire set.
We might need a Cameroon follow-up with you.
Maybe I need to watch it.
Well, if you watch it tonight, I can add it in as a no. I don't know. I don't want to torture you. I don't want to torture you.
It was good seeing John Liu in the Dragon the Hero. I really so with John Liu, I really disliked him for the longest time. I didn't think his kicking abilities were great. I thought he was a one-trick pony, and he bored me. This was probably about 10 years ago and older when I thought that. But then recently, I've had kind of a John Liu. There's been a John Liu resurgence in my house, where kind of an epiphany. I can't remember the film I was watching, but I was just like, wait, I do like John Liu, and I've been watching a few John Liu films recently, and I've really enjoyed this stuff. So it's nice to see him. Always nice to see Tino Wong. I think he's underrated. No one really talks about Tino Wong, and he's really good. So it was nice to see him in it. And just it had everything, including the Dean Shek character, that all good kung fu films have. And I just had a good time. So this one was definitely a polarizing disc for me. I think it had a very good film and a bit of a shitty film, unfortunately. But all in all, just to have the Dragon the Hero look this good and on a set on Blu-ray, I'm very, very excited to have it. But I'll keep it short and sweet. One good, one bad.
Cool.
All right, Dragon.
Kind of one very good and one okay for me. I certainly didn't not enjoy the Rage of the Dragon. The first one felt very much like Godfrey Ho channeling Yuen Wu Ping, and kind of basically kind of giving us that sort of that very much that kind of Snake and Eagle Shadow Drunken Master type movie, but with shades of Lee Soy Nam as well. That guy in the wheelchair looked like his makeup job was lifted straight from the Hot, the Cool, and the Vicious. From you, they just tried that, and I haven't even checked to see which one came first. But I really enjoyed it. It was kind of nice having that sort of flavor, because up until this point we hadn't really had like an old traditional, basically shaped style movie on the set so far, and like Leon said, it's much more of a John Liu movie than it is a Dragon Lee movie.
Yeah,
I was fine with that, but I do also really like Dragon Lee, even more so after seeing him interviewed in the documentary. He came across really well. He's like, I found him really endearing, and I think he had a lot more to do in Rage of the Dragon. It definitely is plodding in places. I didn't maybe controversially my Leon-esque hot take is I was fine with the laser sound effects.
Okay.
Oh wow!
I find myself thinking
cool.
like all of those things would be good samples, like for the kind of music that used to kind of lift huge chunks of sound effects from kung fu movies. I was just hearing them as percussion, right? I was just hearing it as like not so much as a sound effect, as more like a snare alternative. Yeah, right. So I dug them both, and I kind of liked the end fight with Carter Wong. The glasses didn't faze me. I thought Carter Wong looked cool. And I liked the kind of whole like mirror vest thing that he had at the end, and just cool seeing Dragon Lee.
I did like that.
Shit. You did, yeah.
Yeah, I like the mirror vest.
It was very cool. It was kind of just a nice something a little bit unique to itself, and much more of a Korean martial arts movie, right? That whole Rage of the Dragon is, I think, pretty much exclusively filmed in Korean. And another film with really good special features on it. It's a really, really good Godfrey O interview on the special features for the Dragon the Hero. You could give me like an entire box set, the length that this whole box set was, of just Godfrey Ho talking his way through all the movies, and I'd be in heaven, right? I absolutely love Godfrey Ho so much. So yeah, for me, just a great disc. Maybe not my all-time favorite disc, but way up towards the top for me. I really enjoyed them both.
Does anyone know the origin of the thumbchucks? Like, was that a Dragon Lee thing that he?
I think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I think they talk about on the Clones cast. It might have been suggested by a director in Korea. Okay. I can't remember. I do like it. It is strange, but it adds to his, like, he has so many things going on at once. When he rips his shirt off, he has thumbchucks. He's like grabbing his hair. You know, the whole thing is just like, wow, this dude. He seems like he has rabies sometimes too. You know?
Do you think he's almost like you guys know what kabuki theater is? Where
a little bit, yeah.
Where it's that kind of like idea of he's not so much acting for movies, he's almost like a stage actor doing Bruce Lee, where everything's huge. Like he's playing to the back of the room.
Right.
To the guy who's sitting like 300 feet away, who needs to still be able to see. So everything's super exaggerated. And I kind of dig that. He's like an anime version of Bruce Lee.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I need to know his workout regimen. I mean, it's insane because Lo Mang said he just did like body push-ups and didn't use weights. Dragon Lee looks like he's ready to go to like Mr. Olympia or some shit. You know what I mean?
Big, very big.
Yeah. He was great. I really enjoyed that disc. And like Dragon was saying, I love the Godfrey Ho interview. That's really great. I love listening to Godfrey Ho talk. It's like he's very, very fun to listen to.
He's so charismatic.
I had a question about that. When Godfrey Ho was talking, he speaks Chinese, but then he speaks English like mid sentence. It goes back. It's like a lot of backwards between English and English and Chinese. Is he trying to just do both? I thought that was interesting. I
think it's probably because he would have been sitting with Frank and Michael, so sometimes he speaks like, because if you watch like the interviews on Ninja Terminator, he's just sitting with Mike Leader and Arnav Enema, so he almost exclusively speaks English. He's got certain turns of phrase that I really like, which he almost in every sentence he says, which we call, and then we'll say something that's like a super widely known phrase. Like he'll say like if he was talking about the cameraman, he'd be like, the cameraman using what we would call a camera, and you're like, oh, okay. Don't need that. But it's really fucking sweet, man. It just endears you to him all the more, and he uses it so much. Yeah, that was one of my favorite special features on the film side, right? I really like the Godfrey Ho stuff.
Yeah, I'm really glad that I got stuck with that disc. Like after Jason said he wanted me like specifically to cover that one, I was like, thank you, because I get to talk about my favorite movie on the set. But yeah, so I guess that means it's time to round it out. We get to disc 8, the bonus disc. Hopefully, everyone watching this, or at least a majority of them, have actually seen this disc, because this disc is a Severin exclusive. So, if you want to see these movies, you got to get it from there. But yeah, disc 8, our bonus.
For the moment, I'll jump in at that point and say, like, if people didn't get the set from Severin, I think there's a good chance that these might come along as a standalone release somewhere down there.
Interesting.
Wow, standalone for each disc?
Unknown, but like it's not necessarily going to be only available as part of the set. I think there's a chance that we'll see them separately.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I hope they do that. That'd be great for everybody to check that out. But yeah, disc 8, we get Big Boss Part 2 and Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger. I was interested, like before I got to watch Big Boss Part 2, I was very interested to check it out, because Bruce Lee's original Big Boss is a classic, really great movie. So I was interested to see what they were going to do with this one, and for the most part, it's fine. It's another one of those movies that I thought was just fine. It's okay. Again, I will say the subtitles are really hard to read. I know that the print that they used was all they had, and there is no English dub. They really just kind of have this is just what they had to work with here. So, but the subtitles were kind of hard to read at points, and that was a little frustrating for me.
There's a lot of white on white, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're burned in. Yeah. They're burned in.
Yeah. But again, I thought the movie was fine. Whenever they fight, it's cool. The fight scenes are pretty decent. I do wish we had gotten to see more of Bruce Lee. We only see him in the beginning, and then he's in jail for the rest of the movie, and then we just work with Lo Lei, which I have no problem with. I love Lo Lei. He's incredible. But I do wish we had seen more Bruce Lee. That was kind of disappointing. I was kind of hoping that they would do something to where he would get out of jail or whatever. I don't know, but I was hoping they'd do something with that, and they didn't. But I also felt like we kind of got lost a little bit in the movie, because whenever it starts, Lo Lei visits Bruce Lee in prison, and he's like telling him, I want to finish the job here. I want to, our revenge isn't complete. I want to finish this because you're stuck in here. And so let me tell me what to do. Tell me who to find or whatever. So like that, obviously it's established right there. But then afterwards, I feel like we just kind of got lost after that, and just kind of started, going on about, where do they hide the gold and stuff like that. And, and then he spends a lot of time with this girl that he's falling for and stuff like that. So we did get kind of lost at, like in the middle there for a long time. It was cool seeing, the Ice Factory manager from the original Big Boss. It was cool seeing him again. It was cool, revisiting some of the locations from the original Big Boss, like the house and the Ice Factory itself. That was really cool. It was fine, but I also was a little disappointed in some ways. So I feel like they could have took the movie in some better directions, and they just didn't do it. But it was okay. Then Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, I was actually surprised with that one. I did not think it was going to be that good, but I actually really liked the fight scenes in Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger. The finale was pretty good. And again, there's a lot of throwbacks to Way of the Dragon, because this is meant to be a direct so there's some good throwbacks to that. Again, though, I was a little confused about our main character, Tong Fu. I was a little confused about his relationship with Bruce's character from Way of the Dragon. I was a little confused about that.
It changed like 3 times.
Yeah, sometimes he was brother, sometimes he was like a fellow student,
cousin, classmate, friend. It was weird. It was a little confusing right there. But I mean, I did like the fights. Whenever the fights happened, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I would say that movie is another mid tier. I think it was fun for what it was. But yeah, Leon, what do we got?
Okay, right. Anybody want to hazard a guess on my thoughts for Big Boss Part 2?
I'm worried that you're not going to change what's right by your head right now.
No, I think you might give it a thumbs up.
Oh
wow!
Two
Wow.
thumbs.
Oh yeah, baby.
Wow.
I absolutely fucking love this one. I really do.
Holy
Now,
crap.
Big Boss is my favorite Bruce Lee film. So this had a lot to live up to. And I like the setup. I like that it continues directly from the Big Boss. And I'm happy with Bruce Lee being Bruce in jail. That fits the story perfectly. And then one of my favorite ever Kung Fu stars, Shaw Brother stars, Lo Lei. And he hasn't often enough had a starring role. You know, King Boxer, we all have that, I'm pretty sure. And, you know, occasionally he's had a leading role, but not very often. And I thought in this, I thought he was really, really good. I like the acting. I like the story. I love Lo Lei's style. He always look, I don't know if you've like really watched, but when he's kicking some of the guys, yeah, he knocks them well off their feet. You know, they land on their back. So they're taking the hits. You know, he 100% commits to what he's doing. And although he's not the, you know, the finest martial artist, he's got that sort of Jimmy Wang Yu sort of attitude. And the delivery always sells me with Lo Lei. And the actress, I think, if memory serves correctly, I think she's called, and I'll be careful saying this, I think she's called Wang Ping. And she's been in a lot of Shaw Brother films too. I really like her. I think she looks really sweet on camera. And it's a bit of a change up with obviously the foreman suddenly becoming the big boss, because we didn't have any hint of his skill in the Big Boss. But obviously, I think he directed this one, so he obviously wrote that into it. And I didn't mind that. You know, there's so many different elements. You got the underwater sequence, which I really like after the river chase. And you got the alligators in there. Obviously, they were doubled for that. You could tell they were doubled pretty badly. But yeah, there's just so many different elements. That scene reminded me of like I think Man with the Golden Gun with the boat chase and that. And you got the locations in Thailand. I absolutely loved the locations in this. I had a blast watching this. I expected to hate it, and I absolutely loved it. So yeah, I will be returning to Big Boss Part 2 many times.
Nice.
And for the Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, any guesses?
Thumbs up for this one.
Thumbs down, I'm going to say.
I think it might go thumbs down.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
I was wrong.
God.
That was quite the jump from the.
I don't know what to say. The lead actor in this, okay, he's a physical specimen. Yeah, I get that, but my God, man, you've got time to put the kettle on, make a cup of tea, and dunk your biscuit before he delivers that roundhouse kick. I've never seen it so telegraphed. I'm like, what the freaking heck? Yeah, I just find him. I found he had a lack of charisma for me. He didn't pull me into it at all. It's a shame because I thought this would be one of the ones I would like, with it following up on Way of the Dragon, but this delivered what I expected Big Boss 2 to, which was disappointment. And I thought that'd be the opposite way around, but no, there's not much I liked about this film. I don't want to run it down to the ground. I can see why it's in there. We're getting a different exploitation actor. It's a really interesting piece because it is following up Way of the Dragon, so it continues that story along. And you know, it's good to see that history there and see all these different avenues that they take. I do appreciate that, and I really like that they did that. And it is a really curious, you know, piece. But for me, I probably won't return to this one. I don't think it just didn't do anything for me. That's all.
Fair enough. Jason?
Yeah, so Big Boss Part 2, to go back to my one time at band camp, Tarantino's theater, they played it. And I have a hunch this could be Tarantino's print, because you know how Michael Worth says it's a private owner?
Yeah.
I wonder if it was his, because it said when they played it at Tarantino's was one print like left. And I can't remember the whole story of what happened, but I went in not knowing what's going on, and I got to say, I absolutely loved it. I love Big Boss Part 2. I can't even articulate why exactly. It's I have a little bit of thing for myself as a musician. I don't know if you guys ever feel this, like if a band you love, who says like Led Zeppelin or pick a band, but if there's a B-sides album, you know how sometimes you can, because everything else is overplayed, the B-sides album can kind of feel like your thing that people don't all know about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the fact that I had saw this and it was so rare, it brought it up in my mind. And the fact that I don't know. I do like slow burns in movies, and I love Lolay. Bruce Lay, he does seem really green, but he kind of seems good in this. He has the intensity. I thought he'd be more like maybe raw or something, or not act too well. But yeah, I just love this one. I think Lolay, the first fight scene takes you back. Like, wow, he's really good. And yeah, it's funny. The Purple Haze and the Jimi Hendrix music. I'm sure you guys caught that in there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I don't know the story why this is so rare. Maybe it just was discarded and like whatever, it just died along the way somehow. I don't know. Like people just, because on that negative, the extra about the negatives, it said they get to North Africa or France.
North Africa, yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess they wouldn't send them back, so it's kind of like where they would go to die. And that was a great extra, by the way. That really gave insights into all of it, and not to go too off on a tangent, but if you guys listen to the Clones Cast Fist of Fury 2 episode, I do call in on it, not like a self plug or anything, but right after when I call in, Michael goes in this long thing explaining negatives and intrapositives and intranegatives. And that really, I didn't know much about that, but I can see it now whenever the intros are on the film. When Michael says this one's from the print, you can see it's really damaged and it has a print look. And the negative, it's like you're looking, I mean, they could be damaged, but on Challenge of the Tiger, it's like you're not looking at film. It's like you're there almost, when they scan the negative. So I thought that was interesting. This one was so beat up, though. It was crazy. And I think that's also why they put it on the bonus disc, is because it was not the quality, of the other ones. But anyway,
more forgiving crowd if people are getting it straight from the website, I think.
Yeah. And then Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, that's going to be, for me, a mid-tier one. I think I got a little bit of Bruceploitation fatigue, believe it or not, by the time I got to that, because I went consecutively. And I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like, yet again, the plot was confusing. Like, they were coming after him. Is he his brother? Why did they now care about Tong Fu? Because it was just so much back and forth. I was convoluted. And I felt like, I don't know. I kind of was like just burn out a little bit because I did a straightaway, and I felt kind of just fatigued from it. And I think if I watch it in a different light, I might enjoy it more, And Tong Long, I mean, he's a decent fighter. I do know what Leon's saying about the kicks, and his build is good and everything. It just, I don't know. It's strange. I do appreciate them trying to do Way of the Dragon, because most films don't do that, though. Most Bruceploitation films don't.
And Jason, wasn't this one of the ones that was made when Bruce was still alive? This went into production, I think, before he died.
It might have. I know it's an early one, and it was really rare. But yeah, it might have been. I think
it came out in 74, but I think it was made 72.
Oh, wow.
What Michael Wirth had said. So this one kind of like, much more of a straight unofficial sequel, right?
Yeah.
Man, that makes it even more. I mean, to do Bruceploitation while he's live, that's like true Bruceploitation, Because the point of Bruceploitation, in a way, is like when I was young and I didn't know better, it continues the feeling. It's like, okay, this is Bruce doing this, and this is Bruce doing this. If you go to it now and you haven't seen him, it's just kind of often clearly inferior. But when I was 6 years old, it just gave me more. You get to see Bruce doing whatever, going to hell and all that. But yeah, so I don't know. I thought that one was okay. I felt it just kind of. You could tell in these movies, like I said, when they ran out of ideas or out of a guy to fight, he fought the one guy like 4 times, but it's not like the guy was like training and got better. It's like, oh, he's fighting this guy again, and it's the same fight. It's not. That's why they're going to bring the kung fu into it. The reason Chen Kun Tai going to Pai Mei again and again is he's trying to get better. On the 4th fight against that one guy, it's like I don't even know what the point is. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I was just kind of lukewarm on Black Dragon, Yellow Tiger.
All right, Sean.
I think The Big Boss Part 2 was a case of wanting something so much because it was so rare, and it's been rare for years. It just hasn't been around, and it wasn't a great payoff. I, for one, do not. I'm going to probably come under fire here. I do not think Lole is a good leading man at all.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think King Boxer really captured magic, and then in everything else, he has to be a villain for me. He's just not a leading man. I don't think he's got the range to really pull off. I don't know. I just don't think he's that emotive in space.
Okay.
But to each their own. But it wasn't great for me. It was kind of plodding. It's one of those films I feel that, I know I've said this a few times, but it's definitely one of those films that I watch, and then in 2 months I'll be like, I don't remember a thing about that film. And I think it's definitely one of those. It could be because I had Bruceploitation fatigue and just they all blurred together. But I think that one just didn't stand out for me. Didn't really enjoy it. I got, if someone was going to say how do you feel about the film, I'd say it's a middle ground film. It's fine, but for me, I understand where other people get pleasure from it or enjoy it. I don't know. It just didn't hit for me. Maybe it just wasn't what I was looking for that day. But yeah, it didn't do much for me. However, The Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger, I watched that this morning. For some reason, I fucking love that film. I'm not entirely sure why I like it so much. I had a great time with it. I do not think it should be called Black Dragon versus Yellow Tiger.
Oh yeah.
Black Dragon turns up in the last fucking 5 minutes.
I thought Ron Van Cleef was going to be in it. What the?
Yeah, it's. I prefer its original title, which is The Growling Tiger. I actually kind of like that. It's a great title for a movie.
Yeah, I have to add on. I have to agree with you there. I forgot to say that. Yeah, the end fight to me was anticlimactic a bit too, and yeah, that has to be U.S. retitling, obviously. And they're just like, oh, they just made it that. That was odd, that title.
Yeah, and I don't know why they went for that dub track for that poor guy. It was atrocious. But I enjoyed the film. It just seemed like a kind of rogues gallery of villains, and just he fought through them. I kind of, at times, I thought Tong Lin was a terrible fighter. At times, I was just like, oh, this is kind of decent. So it kind of fluctuated. I don't think he's the best kicker in the world, but I think he's pretty good with his hands.
Unless he's using nunchucks, in which case, stop using nunchucks.
There is a wonderful scene in this film where he pulls out there's people surrounding him. He pulls out nunchucks, he spins them around and puts them back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's great.
I was trying to remember who was horrible with the nunchucks. It's him, right?
Yeah, about that.
He's certainly not great. Yeah.
Well, there's someone on this box set, and I think it's in my notes, but it has to have been him. It had to have been him.
Yeah, he needs to go home and practice a little bit more. But I don't know. There's a certain there's something about this film that I enjoy, because I think I enjoy that it's kind of not that good, but I kind of enjoy it for not being that good, and I'm not quite. It's not so bad it's good, but it's just I don't know. It's kind of it's like, this is how I feel. It's like someone I know made like a film for college. Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of good. That's how I feel about this film. It's kind of, it feels like someone just went in their backyard and filmed some fight scenes, and I'm like, good job, you did a good job. And that's what this film is for me. But I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I had a good time.
That's cool. I love the way there's overlap and there's also misaligns as well. It's fantastic to see everybody's different take.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Were you guys shocked that this is like the only one that plays off of Way of the Dragon? I mean, for how many, Fist of Fury playoffs, and I guess Big Boss, there wasn't quite as many. But you think Way of the Dragon, they would have had like Chuck Exploitation or something, coming off of it.
I thought the same thing. I thought that was kind of weird, because like whenever you start the movie and you put on like Michael Wirth's Kung Fu Theater intro, and he even mentioned in there that that Way of the Dragon is one of those movies that never really got like a follow up. And whenever he said that, I was like, oh wow! And actually, now that he says that, it is kind of surprising, because they've done so many prequels and sequels and like spinoffs or whatever, A Fist of Fury. There are so many Game of Death concept movies out there. I was kind of surprised that Way of the Dragon was one of those movies that didn't get that kind of treatment.
Yeah.
All right, Dragon, take us home.
For me, interesting more than kind of like full on love or full on not enjoy. Did find myself right the way through Big Boss Part 2 wishing that pretty much every time I saw Lole, actually wishing that it's Fist of Fury Part 2. I think that was the thing that I learned overall, was like I kind of enjoy Fist of Fury Part 2 more than the Big Boss Part 2, which is fine. But it was all right. It was okay. Nice kind of seeing some of the locations in Thailand again, but was very much middling. I'm quite surprised by Black Dragon versus the Yellow Tiger. Like Sean, I dug that one too, right? For weirdly different reasons. Partly because of the fact that it was all in Taiwan and some of the locations were awesome. Like that last place where they have the last fight was this really interesting concrete version of the board that looked like it was stripped bare. And when they were having like the sort of celebrations for, I don't know if it was like a New Year's celebration that they just used for the film, was kind of really interesting. It had a different feel and a different vibe to the stuff you see from Hong Kong. They shot that kind of one scene when he first encounters the two dudes in white suits in the rain, which was really badass. And it was kind of make me think, had we ever actually seen like a Bruce Lee fight in like full on drive and rain that way? I don't know if we had. So I kind of dug that. I thought they were kind of trying to do their own thing. He was like, at one point I thought he was mute. Like, I hadn't been paying enough attention when Tong Lung was in the first few minutes of the film. Because when he first comes up against the first gang, he speaks entirely in sign language. It's all like,
yeah,
he doesn't really speak to them at all. And I know he was sort of doing the Bruce thing, but it was like, all right, shit, is this? Can he speak? And then obviously he can speak, and he does speak, and at certain times says some really entertaining shit. Like at one point, he does a demonstration. He's like, "Okay, that's Shaolin Tiger Fist," but you don't need to learn that. You'll find your own. You'll find your own thing. Now go away home now, guys.
How about him in front of a mirror? That was so bizarre.
Yeah, he's getting the mannerisms right.
Yeah,
but I thought it was interesting. It was kind of, would have liked to see a nicer print, but I know that's all they had access to. And I thought in some ways it was cool having one really beat up example on there, so you can show people like, this is what all movies we used to watch kind of looked like when you were trying to find these films before the DVD days, right? Like, you bloody kids, you've got it so fucking good. So there's a good one to point for that sort of situation. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed it. I thought it was like a good way to round out the end of the set, and I think has me excited to see what they're going to put together for Volume 2.
Yeah.
What you were saying there, though, when it has that quality of like it's really beat up, the prints and everything, doesn't it like make you feel like you're part of like saving it, preserving it because you have it now? Do you know what I mean? Like when you watch like a film that's scrubbed so well, it's like, you know, and also probably because you know that these are really rare, the two on this last disc. Yeah. But the fact that it looks so beat up, I'm just like, oh, cool, this is on my shelf and it almost died. It almost didn't make it. You know what I mean? And seeing it like at the end of the reels, you know, that's when it gets really etchy, and then it gets better when the next reel starts. Yeah. Some of those end of the reels on some of these, it was like the whole screen was like disintegrating and green was flying, and then it like corrected. It was like, wow, is it going to make it? You know? Yeah. But I thought that was cool. Like you get that preservation feeling when you see the film just look like it's like this has been played in a theater a lot.
Definitely. Yeah. It's great to have any of these. I mean, it's just the fact that I have them and I can go to them every time, and I don't have to go to YouTube and watch a shitty copy anymore. It's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. I feel like that's the magic of this box set, is just that this is like pretty much like it's getting more respect now. Thank you to Michael Wirth, and thank you to Frank Zhang and David and Severin and everything. But the overall like feeling towards Bruceploitation, it just, you know, people just usually didn't like it, or there was rare people that liked certain things. And I think this is putting it good.
So I was just going to say, do you not think that in a lot of those cases it was people don't like the idea of it? Really necessarily diving in, because there's so much variety. I mean, even just look at how much the five of us have had like a total undulation of which things we've enjoyed and which we haven't, right? And which things have resonated with each of us. And the films and people's responses to them are so radically different when you give them a chance, right? And nobody's, as we said right at the beginning, no one's saying these are like award-winning candidates for like the best movies ever made. They're not going to be that. And particularly if we all come from like a history of having seen Shaw Brothers, which is basically the equivalent of like sky-high production values. Yeah. And these are not that, right? But there's a charm and there's a sort of energy and a sort of rawness to them that can be really endearing and really entertaining. But I just need to give them a chance.
Yeah, I've heard you
I
mention that
think-
before. It's true. Like a lot of the Bruce Lee zealots that love Bruce Lee, and I love Bruce Lee, but
Yeah, we all do.
that's but that's like often the tough crowd. That's the crowd that does not want to hear about Bruceploitation.
Yeah.
But and this is might sound, I don't know if it's a hot take, but I don't know if you guys agree. I think Bruceploitation's its best when it's not trying to be Bruceploitation, when it's like
Really agree.
the story of Bruceploitation, the stars breaking out from them trying to put him in these boxes. You know,
Yeah.
when Bruce Lee breaks out, that's his best films. When Bruce Lee does Challenge of the Tiger, he's not thumbing his nose. That's when he shines and his charm is there. Dragon Lee. Yeah, when Dragon Lee's not the Sonic the Hedgehog version of Dragon Lee, that's when he you're like, wow, and that's why, like Sean said, to watch some more. I want to see more now because I could see he has some depth there versus the Carnival version. You know?
Yeah,
I think I need to see that.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think I need to see some of that. But I think this stream has kind of made the point of why they put so many different types of films in.
Yep.
And our discussion should show that to everybody, that they couldn't put all of one type in, otherwise there'd be a big dropout on who was enjoying it overall. You know, the crowd out there, some are going to agree with some of us, some with others. I don't think there's going to be any one person that loves every single film, but people will now know, looking at this, that, hey, there might be something in there for me. And I think that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're coming towards the 3-hour mark. This is like, thanks so much for joining me. And I had a great time. Truly, I loved hearing everyone's take. And, you know, not to get too sappy, I consider you guys like great friends. I mean that from the bottom of my heart, you know. So I had a great time chatting with you guys. Great time.
Awesome.
Dude, that's been really cool. It's funny that you were like, yeah, we should be about an hour or so and we'll be done. I was like, no way. No way.
Yeah.
Well, I was brainstorming. I was like, let's just do the rounds. And I swear to God, at the beginning, I thought, well, you know what? If it's 15 movies and I did the math, like there's no way it was going to take 1 minute to go around. You know, it's like, could it be 5 minutes? And then I was like, maybe let's just do it by disc. And, you know, it's good for us to all give our takes, but wow, 3 hours. I was far off on that.
Come on. Caleb was going to be an hour on camera and connection all by itself.
Good stuff.
All right, fellas, any parting thoughts or anything you want to add in?
Just roll on volume 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Volume 2. Let's get Blind Fist of Bruce on there or something that will really bring people in and give them the complete variety of what Bruceploitation is.
Yeah.
Dynamo.
If I don't say this, I'll be remiss. I want Michael Worth to know that he's Shaz's favourite part of the box set. She said it's like watching Alex Cox on Movie Drone. She said he just sets you up for it beautifully. So huge shout out to him and the whole team. Absolutely fantastic job and very psyched for box set.
Yes, thank you guys.
Yeah, Michael did an incredible job. Michael, very much the patron saint of Bruceploitation at this point, I think. Now he's like the one that's protecting it and cherishing it and restoring it all for all of us.
Absolutely. Legend.
Good job. Well done.
All right, guys. Thank you. Catch you in the next one.
Catch you later. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.